try to aim for around-ish 3 hours. Might go a little under. Also, I'm perpetually afraid of hitting like a trial thing, assuming that there's a trial thing in this chapter. Uh, since I would probably want to do a trial all in one go, but I don't know if I would get to one of those this soon. And then there's the thing about like, oh, something about loading saves or something. Uh, Unable to load saves during trials. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know how any of this is. All right, episode 2 title screen. It still looks really cool. I like the colors and everything. I just like this. The angle is dope on this shot. There's so many cool things. The jacket is cool. I'm a sucker for red and black like color combo. That's what I meant to say. Smoking is cool. Don't let health professionals tell you otherwise. Oh man. Okay. Yeah, so Of the Devil episode 2, this is our second stream of it, I believe. Yes, unless I'm forgetting. Nope. This is our second stream of episode 2. The first one was pretty good. It was like what, just an hour and a half or so I think I got in. So not too deep, but we got the very intro part of things. And we saw Morgan do the deed a bit, which was exciting to see. She's flexed on some people. She's cool. And yeah, we're just gonna keep going. Sarah helping out at a bar. That's cool. This is like a half attempt at like a story recap by me. Morgan wanted to get a hold of like some mask thing that essentially conceals, as far as I understood, conceals your identity from like the high surveillance type of environment that they all live in and everything. Essentially, it's able to like elude all that. So she went to go get that. The negotiations who had the mask wasn't really going the perfect way that she was going or intending. They were not willing to seemed the group that she was infiltrating was not willing to give up the mask. And so she forcibly took it. Basically. Is how I would put it. There we go. I got things working. Sorry. I was like delaying for time as I was getting things set up. Alright, I'll watch audio as we load in. If I need to turn it up or turn it down. And we will read more of the devil. Like I said, I'm going to try to go for 3 hours. It might be a little shorter. I ended up starting a little later than I actually intended to, but such is life. C'est la vie. It was a quiet and uneventful drive in the back of the limousine. The privacy, at least, was nice. But with Abbott and Costello riding in the front, I had no way of getting information out of them, not even passively. So instead, I spent the whole ride trying to play out all the different ways that this could go. I haven't liked any of them so far. Suppose I should have felt relief or gratitude when we pulled out outside of an imposing skyscraper instead of an alley. I suppose it's a good sign that no one's put a bag over my head or stuck a needle in my neck. But I don't feel like celebrating. Oh yeah, so what had happened right here is right after the murdering that Morgan did. And then she was back at the bar. That's when we got Sarah. And that guy, whose name is on the tip of my tongue. Oh, I'm so bad with names. I know there's profiles, but I don't want to check it. Because I know I'm going to check it. I'm so bad at Diamani. He was at the bar. And then a couple guys. A couple people in suits, I think. Identities unknown, maybe. Came and scooped up Morgan and was like, hey, you're coming with us. Something about the Icaria family, I think was the name I'd seen or remember seeing. A lot of these people are the dead ones now. Dead people. Dead people profiles. 19 coins right now. Coins, chips. Why do I always have the habit of saying coins when I totally mean to say chips? They're not betting coins, they're betting chips. Chips, stacks. Something... I don't know. But I don't feel like celebrating. For all I know, they really don't have a clue about what I did in the lower wards last night. But for some reason, they've placed their attention on me. And there's little I hate more than unwanted advances. I'm also not a fan of being made to wait. Why am I just sitting out here? In here. Oh, we were too late. Only by a few minutes. He filled the time slot. Already? Then we got no chance of... Maybe, if his other meeting went well. I forget what voices I gave these people, but... Are we on hold, gentlemen? In the world's most expensive waiting room? Quiet! I take it he's glaring at me behind those lenses, but I'm more interested in the sweat glistening on his forehead. Somehow, of the three of us, I'm the most relaxed. This is becoming embarrassing. Can I at least take in the view while we're here? You can take photos if you like, so long as you're quiet. Really? No, your phone won't work in here. Go figure. I like his environment, though. Let me turn this up slightly. Oh, we're gonna open right up with a quiz and that I'm probably gonna fail? Is it trying too hard to look unconcerned if I sit down and start reading the news? Maybe. But my boredom outweighs my apprehension at the moment. Not my fault that they failed to be sufficiently intimidating. The PS5... PSS Proposition City Head of next month's convention. Next month, the city will play host to one of the most competitive political conventions in recent memory, with Senator Mathings expected to face significant opposition from party outliers before securing his nomination. But... Sorry, I'm not satisfied where audio is at right now. I'm going to turn it up some. Okay. With Senator Mathings expected, yes, before securing his nomination. But while the broader nation eagerly anticipates the oncoming political circus, city officials are already under fire for supposed lack of sufficient convention security. The city has already approved a record-high monthly budget for the police department, including fully unrestricted overtime for officers of all ranks. But a coalition of private security services, including White Adder, Fang, and Demico, has released a press statement urging City Council to consider contracting their services ahead of their convention. I love how the cadence I read at sometimes make it seem like I just don't know how to read. Which is true. Do get it twisted. Heartbreak was bad enough. Now we're hearing that cops are dying in the lower wards. It just goes back to that whole thing where I'm like, anyone who listens to me like read, especially in like visual novel streams on this channel, I'm like, how do you put up with me and my voice at all? You could just not. You could just not. When are city officials going to say enough is enough? Said Demico head of press relations Arthur Gall. We have the utmost respect for all first responders. None of us are blaming the hardworking police for these failures. How could they succeed when political insiders insist that they try to apprehend criminals with one hand tied behind their back? Our contracted forces have world-class training in crowd pacification, preemptive de-escalation, and enhanced interrogation tactics, and any of the subhuman scum who empathize with anarchists won't dare to leave their mother's basements once we can get our boots on the ground. That's a guarantee. City Council declined to comment when we reached out to them to ask whether they would be issuing a request for proposals on such services. Total city population is expected to swell next month as the national political spotlight draws lobbyists, delegates, political action committees, and voters in ahead of the 2-week prolonged process. Most of the community members we spoke to expressed optimism about the increase in economic activity and tourism the convention is expected to bring, but some who refused to give us their permission to publish their identifying info rudely and loudly voiced their criticism. 2 weeks for a convention when the nominee was decided 2 years ago. It's a joke, and we're the punchline. Footing the bill to pay cops to stand around outside parties full of thousands of do-nothing staffers and campaign managers. So it was presented to you advertiser-free thanks to the contributions of our generous donors, including Daniel Moss. Daniel Liv Moss. Daniel Mass of the Daniel Mass Foundation, Rebecca E. Jones of the Rebecca E. Jones Foundation, Jessica and Ronald McGuile of the McGuile Foundation for the Arts and Sciences, the Rockford Fund for Public Broadcasting, and readers like you. Thank you. Please sign in to read the rest. before I get quizzed here, this like speaking, like news story things reminds me. I was in like a communications academy like trial thing in high school, so I didn't do like a normal high school like curriculum. Basically, there was like a it was like a heavily I was in a high school, but it was like heavily modified like class thing that they were testing on us, where it was like, oh, this sets you up for like college life, like if you have like a special interest. And there was like what's that? I can't even. Engineering. There was an engineering academy, which I was not a part of, and then there was the like communications academy. I think they called it just communications academy. It was basically like heavily like TV production classes. By the time I was in like senior year of high school, I was taking like more than half my day I was in like TV production classes. They made up like numbers. I was in like TV production like 6, 7, 8, and 9 for different periods of the day and stuff. And like, so more than half my day I was in like the editing bay. And then in like college, I did that kind of stuff as well. And in college, we would put on like a news program thing. And like, if it was up to me, I would always be like behind the scenes and doing like technical stuff, like either technical director or running, you know, editing stuff, or even during a live broadcast doing, you know, the behind the scenes stuff. But like, of course, it's a class and everything, and they want you to get experience with all the different things. So like, at least like 1 week or something, I had to like be in front of cameras and read from teleprompters and stuff like that, news things. And I remember like 2 or 3 days in, I was doing my normal reading thing, reading teleprompter, and I think it was just like practice. It was just like one of our practice runs or whatever before the live thing. And I remember, I'm pretty sure the professor was like, oh man, the way you read, I can tell why you like being behind the scenes so much. I was like, fuck you. Like, he was saying the way I read out loud. And like, to this day, like, obviously, clearly, you could tell I remember that moment, because I was like, fuck. Like, he didn't hold back, where he's like, oh man, the way you read, he said something along the lines of like, the way you read from a teleprompter, I can definitely tell why you like working behind the scenes, behind the camera or something. And I'm like, I couldn't say shit because he was a professor or whatever, but I was just like, thanks, man. Thanks. Also, hello. Alright, let's get quizzed. I suppose it's less offensive than a bare advertisement or paywall, but why list your donors mid-article? All it does is make my eyes glaze over. Whatever, got the important part. The city's hosting that convention next month, putting pressure on the council to vote on... Oh, damn it. I went on a little story. Can I immediately just... Oh, you can just kind of cheat. Well, not cheat, but re-look at the thing. Next time, City will play host to one of the most competitive conventions. I wanted to be mean for no reason and say you agree. Alright, I see how it is. Mods, take him out back. Get him. Silence him. So the next month, City will play host the competitive political convention. Senator Math is expected to face significant opposition from party outliers. So this is just, yeah, I mean, it's a contested convention. Math thinks is the incumbent and front runner, but it doesn't get a show of support from the locals. It'll have as much impact as a fly on a windshield. City council is much more concerned for those private security mercs. Oh, I fucked up, I think. Salesman trying. Now I'm just thinking about that professor who made that fucking comment. It made me want to. Salesman trying to convince them that the city needs even more armed men playing on their phones to be truly safe. Everyone knows Mathings will be the candidate. That was decided years ago. I think I chose the very surface level choice. That's where I fucked up there. I think a couple times I've chose like the surface level thing, and the game kind of wants you to be like, no, what's like the subtext behind? And I just fucked up. How long ago was that? I mean, it would have been university days. If you're talking about how long ago was the, let's see, it would have been my junior year, I think. So junior year of college was 2013 going into 2014. So do math, 12 or so years ago. 12 or 13 years ago, and it still scars me to this day. I still remember it. Like, what a comment. I bet, and he was an older dude too, so I bet like he didn't even think that it was like had any malice to it or anything, but he was like, I remember the comment very well because it was like early in the week and it soured me the rest of the week because I knew even after that I had to put on the live show and also had like the rest of the week where I still had to be in front of the camera. And he said early on, it was like on a Tuesday or something, where he was like, during a practice, where he's like, with the way you read from a teleprompter, I don't even think he was necessarily commenting like I couldn't read. It wasn't like I was necessarily stumbling over words. Like, sure, if you wanted to make that comment if I was bad at reading, but I think he was talking about the way I spoke or something, reading from a teleprompter. And now, joke's on him, I read visual novels online constantly to like an audience of like 1.5 people. It might have been like I was visibly hesitating. I'm sure there was some obvious thing he was pointing to or trying. Maybe he was even his weird way of trying to make me feel more comfortable, maybe. You know what I mean? Maybe he was like, oh, maybe this will loosen him up or like make him less stilted or something. But I don't know. It wouldn't be the type of comment I would make if I was a professor. But if I was a professor, a lot of things would be different. The contested convention will just be him finding a balance between how much public opposition he's willing to stomach against how many favors he feels like giving out. This country is already a circus without any bread. You think the least they could do is make the performances entertaining. What was that in the article about cops dying in the lower wards anyway? Pretty heavy-handed to just make up that kind of thing, even when pearl clutching and pitching yourself at the same time. Oh, audibly hesitating. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. The illusion isn't unimpressive, I guess. Windows into the heavens sparkling like raindrops across a puddle. Might even be appealing if it wasn't trying to be something it's not. You look up and see hexagons above you in the lower wards, too. Rich or poor, people can't just imagine themselves under an open sky anymore. Not even in their wildest dreams. If I weren't hyper-aware of the flickering sky hanging over my head, this could make for a lovely watering hole. But those probably aren't even real fish down there. Literal children are capable of keeping goldfish alive, so of course the 0.1%ers can't manage it. Maybe they'd spin it. When their pallid bodies float to the top because some idiot raised the water temperature 2 degrees, it'd certainly be easy to scoop out. If you're an impatient and undignified idiot, you could argue that's an efficient way to fish. Well, looked around at everything that caught my eye, and now I'm all out of ideas. Everything except... maybe they don't know we're here. I'm gonna try knocking. What are you? Hey! Before I get the chance, creaking oak draws my attention to an alternate entrance on the other side of the water. Oh. Oh, stanced up. I've always thought cool, like, you know, also I really like how that's a cigar in his mouth and then like the eyes lighting up. I've always appreciated like jacket loosely hung over your shoulders like that with your arms not through the arm sleeves. Always a cool look. Always a cool look. Stop staring and get a move on. That's the kind of man walking out of this place. Who's waiting for me inside? That just happened. August 14th, 2086, 4:09 p.m. Icaria Tower, residential floors. Grand Hall. Pomp and circumstance, ceremony and ritual. For some reason, I thought that the Mafia, of all people, would be a little more efficient in their execution. A little more honest about what they are. Evidently not. Artifice with every glance. Costumes and makeup abound. Is this disappointment? That even here, in the supposed bowels of the underworld, there's no escaping the etiquette of it all? She's the one. She's the one! Or she's the one? It was emphasized she. She's the one? Now I know why that professor said that comment. Now every time I stumble on a word, I mean, now that I said it out loud, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's it was a fair comment. It doesn't look like much. Peons. Suddenly their posture stiffens even further. A true feat. Their necks suddenly turned to a pair of doors in the back, each of them attuned to some signal I'm not receiving. Be still. The young master returns. A young punk? A young brat, even? With a fucking 5.5 head? Oh, big jacket. You're late. Oh, hold on. Wait. Young master, sir, Everyone slow down. We came as soon as we found her, sir. Traffic was... This is just some sassy lost child. Silence. Yes, sir. What time were you told to return by? 4 o'clock, sir. And what time is it now? Permission to check my phone? You're late. You were tasked with finding one woman and bringing her here in a timely manner. Sir, You'll speak when I tell you to, and not one word further, or else I'll have your teeth removed. By way of curbside. Gulp. Is this a prank? Am I being recorded? He who wishes to fight must first count the He who wishes to fight must first count the cost. So says Sun Tzu. Please let this be a prank. And I don't think we can fathom the cost your tardiness has incurred. If the lead up to my execution is some kid reading from Art of War, I might just... What is the #1 rule in this family? Timeliness, sir. When money gets wasted, it can be replaced. When time only goes one way, time only goes one way, it's always running out. The loss is permanent. Every second wasted is a scar on this house's face. Timeliness is next to godliness. So say I. Oh, God. So if you two ever waste my time, the house's time, again, expect to be dragged through hell. I'm already there. Now both of you get out. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Useless. You. Red woman. You're being addressed. Red woman. You, woman in red. Forget pride. I just want this over with as fast as possible. You're the lawyer, correct? You may answer. As fast as possible. I am a lawyer. Morgan, criminal defense, mister. How should I address you? As all outsiders do. By my name. Makoto of House Ikaria. That's a profile, baby. Take a look. Ski. Makoto Ikaria. February 27th, date of birth. Height, 146. Weight, such impudence. Blood type, A negative. Occupation, heir apparent, unemployed student. Likes biography, shogi, and amber. Dislikes tardiness, tarnish, group assignments. Favorite figure, Saladin, Sun Tzu, Hannibal. Favorite phrase, Vi victus. Woe to the conquered. Relaxes by building and painting models. Interesting. You, Morgan Criminal Defends. Oh. Morgan Criminal Defends. Have the great honor of being summoned before me. Don't bother bowing. Once you start, you'll end up prostrated all day, and we have important work to do. Right. Out of an abundance of respect for your time, Makoto, I should let you know that I still have no idea what I'm doing here. Oh? I'll have them kneel on a bed of nails later or some shit. Miss Defends? Mrs. Really? The house has need of your legal services. Oh. Would you give me a moment to clear my throat? I need to switch gears. Oh, they're really getting... And this sounds like I mean it in a negative way, but I don't. They're really getting cute with their, like, cutaway little things. Like, from, like, even this episode, there's been a couple, like, how would I say, like, leveled up from, like, episode 1. Alright, then. So you want to hire me? One of our own is being slandered by multiple homicide charges. You will defend him. You want to hire me? And I'm flattered, Makoto, but did you pull my name out of a hat? Pick a random page in the phone book? I have many books on my phone. Libraries full of esoteric knowledge spread across countless tombs. You'll have to be more specific. Sorry, I misspoke. What I mean is, this is House Ikaria. You must keep a small army of lawyers on retainer. Surely any one of them would be happy to help you. True, we have lawyers. Competent ones, expensive ones, and some who are both. But the best of them are all preoccupied. That's it? They're all just preoccupied? Preoccupied means busy. Thanks. But I'm still not sure how my name specifically was. Do you have a customer survey you want filled out, Miss Defense? You were recommended. What does it matter how it came about? Normally it wouldn't matter. But when the client I'm recommended to is one of the richest, most well-connected families in the country, it gives me pause. I don't have any friends in high places. Not anymore. It makes it hard to see this as a favor. Not when my employer doesn't even know my goddamn name. Of course, my apologies. No doubt you have other questions. Very well, I'll permit you to ask them. Such a gentleman. And we go from the top. If I wasn't brought here because of what happened last night, then this is just another job. Meaning all of this, starting back at the bar, this has all just been the idea of a power move. Thank you for insisting that I get to visit your estate in person. It's beautiful here. An oasis of old world sensibility amidst a desert of steel and neon eyesores, is what the house elders say. I've never seen anything like it. It matches your family's reputation for class. Ha! My family's reputation is power, not class. I'd take it a step further and guess you're renowned for violence rather than power. But that's a moot point. Violence can be classy. And from how this house is talked about in the headlines I read on the drive over, the nature of your family's reputation seems to vary greatly depending on who you ask. Some think you've got half the gangs in the city under your control. Others think you've left all that behind and are no worse than any other corporate family. Are you expecting me to ask you what you think? What I think is that I'll need some basic information if I'm to adequately defend your interests. We're financiers. You don't say. Lending, investing, taking over, buying out. The Ikaria Financial Group was founded nearly 2 centuries ago. Loaning funds is high risk and high reward, but as you can see, our results speak for themselves. The Ikaria Financial Group is a private investment company and one of the nation's most exclusive asset managers as of 2086. We believe that investing should be accessible to anyone, and that's best accomplished by tailoring their investment portfolio to suit their specific needs. Interested in working with us? Let's get started on your profile below so we can determine your options. Remember, even if you unfortunately aren't as good fit for IFG itself, we'll always be happy to set you up with one or more of our partners that are better suited to your class. Ikaria Financial Group. Fancy way of saying they got their start as mobster loan sharks. It's not impossible to get this rich with loan sharking alone, but such unsavory work wouldn't get them into the ballrooms and boardrooms tiers of society. You gotta rip people off with mortgages to do that. Is lending the house's only income stream? No. Through Aurea, our holding company, the house controls any number of what a civilian like you might call legitimate enterprises. And yes, we did found the Renegan Pharmaceutical Corporation, but what's past is prologue. Renegan? They're a drug company, one of the biggest. You're saying you're no relation to Renegan presently? Renegan? Stop making me say proper nouns. Come on now. The company went public years ago, and Aurea divested our shares not long after. We were given 1 seat on the board as a formality. That's the extent of it. Given. Family like this only takes. Why is he suddenly so humble? Doesn't know the meaning of the word. He's downplaying their pull within the R word. Is a global leader in pharmaceutical research, development, and distribution. A company that puts your health before any other concern. Our groundbreaking research into combating modern medical challenges has helped millions live happy, healthy lives, and we're proud to keep fighting that fight as we pursue our corporate goals. Put our medicine in the cabinet of every home, improve patients' lives and their communities, minimize our environmental footprint through sustainable ventures, operate with dignity and pride in our ethics, deliver consistent, steady growth to our investors. Shortly after our founding, our researchers developed metformin, the first orally ingested treatment for type 2 abnormal diabetes, freeing millions of adolescents suffering from its effects from being subjected to painful injections. Since then, we've gone on to improve on our formulation, and that constant dedication to perfecting our medicines has made us a national leader in pharmaceutical biosimilars. or obsessed with perfection and driven by purpose, will never stop searching for the next step in the evolution of what it means to be healthy. Then the house must have a reason to want to distance themselves from the company. You're being very modest, Makoto, and more than a little vague. It's only polite. It's unnecessary, talking to your lawyer. You aren't my lawyer. You aren't my lawyer, Miss Defends. But you will be working for me, so you have to become accustomed to putting your needs second. He's deflecting, and if he's trying to be subtle about it, he's not doing it well. I doubt it's possible a company with as big a boot heel as Rennigan has no relation to anything that happens in the city, but I'll drop it for now. I'm in no rush to wade into boardroom politics again anytime soon. I'd like to know a bit more about you, actually. How long have you... I'm the only son of Raphael Ikaria, and the only grandson of Daisuke Ikaria, CEO of the Ikaria Financial Group, patriarch of this family, and chairman of the house. Gather that those titles are all one and the same. As one destined to succeed the headship, commanding the family's servants is my responsibility and my birthright. So if one of them needs a lawyer, it falls to you. Oh, nope, that was Morgan saying it. So if one of them needs a lawyer, it falls to you. When our loyal men, women, or their families need help, it is my solemn duty to ensure that they are taken care of. And your age? What a boorish question. I knew that peasants raised outside our stratus had little understanding of the finer things, but I assumed that one with a law degree would be educated enough to know what is and isn't appropriate to discuss. Just because I'm younger than some does not mean I am any less capable of managing the people who work for me. Does it, men? Sir, no, sir. You definitely command the respect. That is no coincidence. One of the most frequently noted characteristics of great men who have remained great is loyalty to their subordinates. So says George S. Patton. That's so interesting. This is an important point. Perhaps another quote is called for. I don't think that's necessary. I'll grant you another. If soldiers are punished before they have grown attached to you, they will not prove submissive. And unless submissive, then will be practically useless. So says Sun Tzu. Back to back. Yes, a second quotation was called for in this instance. This kid's fucking killing me. If only to emphasize to you that no one stays useless to House Ikaria for very long, one way or another. I'll admit I was a little taken aback to step off an elevator and into your enclosure out there. The gardens? Yes, our groundskeepers work hard on them. Does the illusion of the sky come from a live recording or somewhere else? Or is it generated programmatically? That would take quite the equation. It is impressive, yes. As for how it works, I don't have the technical minutiae in front of me at the moment. That's okay. Of course it is. A lion does not concern himself with the exterior decorations of the sheep. It's your exterior and your decorations. What does it matter anyway? If you want the specifics so badly, I'll have one of the servants put you in contact with the contracting firm. That's alright. Something tells me the consultation alone would break my bank account. I do appreciate the warm welcome, Makoto of House Ikaria. Really. But legal consultations are usually more private than this. Are we certain we need the peanut gallery? Let it not be said that House Ikaria is not accommodating of its guests. We're more than capable of compensating for this nut allergy you allude to. That's so sweet of you. But do all these guards really need to be present for this conversation? If you're referring to the additional security, can't be helped. Circumstances being what they are. Circumstances. And if you're referring to my retainers in general, then I suggest you step back into the garden and take a deep breath. Clearly the city's fumes do not agree with your constitution. You must be lightheaded if you think that you're worthy to hold a one-on-one audience with the next head of this illustrious house. He's a prodigy to be this insufferable at such a young age. Thank you for indulging my curiosity so graciously, Makoto. Conquer the stingy through generosity. So says Buddha. Correct. Perhaps your education is not quite as deficient as I feared. But I should make clear that in this case, I was using the quote to subtly imply that you are stingy with your own graciousness. Got it. Yep. Shall we move on? I believe you mentioned a homicide? Multiple homicides. Tell me more. My head of security was arrested by the police last night in the lower wards. They found him brutally beaten, drugged, and tortured. And instead of bringing him straight to a hospital, they arrested him for murder. He's being framed, and you must prove his innocence. Oh. Is there something wrong with your voice? Is this that peanut allergy you mentioned? No, I just lost my train of thought for a second there. I'm not used to my luck changing this fast. One of the richest families in the city wants to pay me to prove a man's innocent of a crime I framed him for. Right, then, might I ask why he was found in the lower wards? I get the impression that Ikaria territory is generally positioned more vertically. This whole city is our territory, but it's true that our presence is felt more strongly in some areas than others. They captured him early yesterday. He was ambushed by cowards and dragged down to that stain of a neighborhood to be tortured senselessly. Well, he was tortured, I can attest to that much, but I don't believe in senseless violence. There's always a purpose, and it's usually staring you right in the face. People just don't like making eye contact. Do you have any idea why he was taken, or by whom? It was the Blue Bloods. They made no effort to hide it. In a worthy opponent, I might call that commendable, but knowing them, they're just too stupid to value deniability. I'm sure. And I'm sure there's no love lost between your groups, but kidnapping and torturing is beyond the pale. I agree. And the police are even worse. I expected no help from those incompetent fools, but these charges they're making, they're utterly ridiculous. Of course they are, but don't... Oh. It advanced before I was ready. Do you go, to think they want to pin 5 murders on him? 5? Let me get the, backlog on that. It was just one line that I'd... Morgan was like, of course they are, but don't worry, I'm confident that I can. To think they want to pin 5 murders on him. And then she's like, 5? Did you say 5? Yes, 5. It's absurd. I can only take credit for 4 bodies. Acting so high and mighty, so affronted, so eager to blame us for the death of one of their officers. A dead cop? Is this what those mercs were advertising themselves with? What do you mean one of their officers? Was there a UC or... No, they made the ridiculous claim that he killed some uniform while resisting arrest. As if a member of our house would fear prison. Should have never dared to think I got lucky there. Here. I mean, these circumstances sound very complex, Makoto, and the police take the death of one of their own very seriously. What makes you so certain of this man's innocence? Because this man's name is Sosuke... Ikaria. Sosuke? The Hound. I've known him all my life. All 3 or 4 years of it. There's no individual more honorable, more devoted, more trustworthy, and not once have I ever known him to be... violent? Impulsive. He didn't do this. I know he didn't do this, but proving that is your job. About that. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, Makoto. But you will. If for no other reason than because we shall pay you more than you customarily receive for a contract. Considerably more. Not everything's a question of money. Yes. Your meaning is taken. Taken. It needn't be silver and gold. You'll have no complaints with your compensation. The favor of House Ikaria can go a long way in this city. As can our wrath. I don't appreciate being threatened. Don't find it funny, even coming from a kid. However... if the state thinks whoever killed those 4 Blue Bloods also killed a cop, can't afford to sit this hand out. They'll go over every centimeter of that building. One wrong move, one hair out of place. If I lose here, I lose. Period. But if I win, throwing a Ikaria-sized wallet in the pot beforehand is all upside. I understand, Makoto of House Ikaria. I'll take Sosuke's case. You say that as if it were ever in doubt. True prodigy. But he might be right. Maybe it never was. I choose to put that gun into the Sasuke's hands. I chose to put that gun into the Sasuke's hands when I could have just plunged that knife into his temple. Maybe the line drawn from that moment to the razor edge I'm walking right now is perfectly straight. A line drawn from one point to another is always perfectly straight. A better metaphor would be a bullet's trajectory. For all the talk of wind resistance and breathing patterns and the Coriolis effect and chaos theory, you can't exactly act surprised when your shot lands right where the crosshairs were pointing. Oh, fun times. Morgan's my last name, by the way, before you start writing any checks. You should have enunciated. Of the Devil is my first name. 4:41 p.m. August 14th, 2086. In transit. Hey there, boss. Of course I'm fine. What do you think was going to happen? Yeah, all good news. Got quite the paycheck coming my way. Maybe bad news for you if you get a large crowd tonight. Yeah, tell Sarah to meet me at the police station address I'm about to send. Got work for her to do. It'll be quite the paycheck indeed waiting for me, assuming I can win. But can I afford to accept it? Ugh. Hey. Were any of those jokes around the office about your clients being connected to organized crime true? What? Is this some kind of honeypot? Trying to get a grasp on something. Now I know you're baiting me. World's easiest, that's what she said, layup. I'll still basket that shit, though. I don't give a fuck. Why do you make everything so hard? Come on. Like, come on, Freckles. Low-hanging fruit? I have no idea what you're talking about. Obviously. Why are you asking me about mafia shit, though? I'm working a case for the Ikaria, whom I assume you've heard of. Definitely. Under circumstances that are probably vulgar. Absolutely. Which you'd be happy to brag about to me. Anytime. But I'm not well positioned to turn down the job outright. So I'd like to know whether they'll be resistant about parting ways afterwards. Why? Do you not like getting paid lots of money? I don't like being chained. Fair enough. So you're like, just asking for my advice? The aura loss is incredible. Not going to attempt to parse that. I doubt you ever could. My generation's sense of humor is practically impregnable. It was a very basic non sequitur, Auntie. It just wasn't funny. Not even. A non sequitur would be, what's the charge? That's just getting back on topic. The charge is homicide. 5 counts. Meh. You're probably fine. All the stuff you hear about mobsters being clingy with their lawyers. It's because they don't want anyone who's been through their underwear drawers running around. Telling tales. Whatever poor fucker they pinned multiple homicides on is obviously not anyone important. I don't think he was framed. Not by his own people. Nah, pinned as in stuck with. Like a chore. Powerful people. Mob or no. If they get lawyers, it's for tax evasion and conspiracy charges. Dirty work's left to the pawns. And the whole point of a pawn is you don't have to think twice about trading them off. Alright. Guess I know the rumors are true then. Yep, you uncovered my cool fucking secret. Listen. Actors, singers, celebs. They all like expensive things and being the center of attention. Mobsters have money to burn and want the cologne of cologne of legitimacy. I was like, did I read that right? Everyone wants what they can't have. Okay, chill, F. Scott Fitzgerald. Great looking Gatsby ass. I still pine for thee, motherfucker. What? All I'm saying is there's mutually beneficial arrangements to be made. between the rich and famous, and the rich and infamous. So you bet your ass I was in those rooms, negotiating appearance fees, and taking my 30%. 30%? You really are shameless. That's what she said. Alright. Thanks as always for the sage counsel. Hey, if you're really feeling grateful, do me a solid and call your rents. They say they never hear from you. And I know you can't be that busy. If you're bored enough to talk to me. They're the ones who are busy. I feel that. Both would be August 14th, 26. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Sorry. Victoria Masters. I think we've already read. I'm checking. Likes macadamia nuts. So do I. So do I. Macadamia nuts are solid. Dislikes getting ghosted by my adorable goddaughter. Drink Cosmopolitan double. Collects favors friends in high places. SSR on the first poll. Luck. Fine. Okay. Obviously, I wasn't sure what would happen after I left that crime scene. And I wasn't sure what I'd find walking in here to speak to my client. But I definitely wouldn't have bet that the next time I saw this man alive, he'd actually look worse. Did you not hear me? I said I'm your lawyer. Oh, I heard you. Just not interested in wasting my breath responding. I'm sorry, is there a misunderstanding here? Not at all. I understand exactly what you are. You and all your fellow... Your companion is staring at me very intently. Sarah? Blink. You're embarrassing me in front of the Yakuza. It's a very dated word. You'd really prefer I call you an orca? I'd prefer you give up and leave. What are you talking? I'm sure they told you I'd been softened up. That they'd broken me and I'd be ready to sign whatever you put in front of me. Sorry to disappoint you. But the Hound of Icaria doesn't heal. Cool. She's enamored. Sosuke, I'm gonna repeat myself plainly. And slowly, because you clearly have multiple head injuries. I am not a lawyer. I am your lawyer. Ah. Right then. Very good. Thank you for coming. That's all it took. The hard act. It was all a front. I apologize if I misspoke just now. I'd misspeak too if I'd lost as much blood as you. Morgan, Esquire, I'll be representing you from here on out. Sosuke, of House Icaria. Sarah, paralegal and bartender. You're very young to have 2 jobs, or 10 bar. Well, it is only part-time. Ah, right. So tell us, Sosuke of House Icaria, what is your routine? You look very fit. My... What? Are you asking about... Do you not have me on file? Sorry, which firm are you from? DDD? NPM? I'm in private practice. You mean you're not a mob lawyer? No, but please don't hold it against me. Everyone has to start the path to corruption somewhere. There are serious risks involved in representing a man with my background against charges like these. It's very sweet of you to... They say I killed a cop, miss. I realize I may look a sorry state at the moment, but I've not fallen so low that I'd sully the house's name by dragging a civilian into. Makoto thought differently. The young master. You've seen him? How is he? Where is he? Is he unharmed? He was sitting pretty atop a literal throne surrounded by armed guards last time I checked. Thank you for that. No one's told me anything, and if the young master has spoken on this matter, I won't go against his judgment. But I do hope you understand what you're getting into. I'm already in it, Sasuke. Sasuke. How well I understand what I'm in is something I think you'd be able to help with. Very well. What do you want to know? So far, all I know about you is your first and last name. It's a very important last name, but I take your meaning. And in truth, the first thing you should know is that I'm not worthy of it. Why? You disqualified due to pre-existing conditions? I was born Sasuke Hayakawa? Fourth son of a distant branch family. The only reason I bear the name of Ikari is because I was adopted into the main house as an infant, in exchange for lifelong service to the main family. Sounds like a great deal. Lifelong? How did you serve the Ikari as an infant? There are various tax benefits if you have exactly 2 children. Don't be absurd. I'm what you would call a bodyguard. From the time I was able to walk, I was trained to be of service to the house by protecting the heir with my life. I assumed once that kid was talking about Sosuke here. I was like, oh, it's definitely like this type of relationship, like bodyguard. Probably deeply care about each other. Show it in their own special ways type deal. From the time you're able to walk, there are a lot of demand for toddler bodyguards. All that's ever been asked of me is that I stand in the right place at the right time. You mean like in family photographs? Like in front of a blade. Even a child can manage that. The house has given me everything I've ever had and taught me everything I've ever known. What meager service I can offer in return means nothing compared to the debt I owe them. You view your relationship with your family as a transaction? It is not something so cold, girl. It's a matter of loyalty. Right. So if you were standing before a judge and they asked your name and occupation, you would say, my name is Sosuke Ikaria and I'm an eternal servant for a living? I would say, my name is Sosuke Ikaria and I work as a head of personal security for the Ikaria Financial Group. And what does that entail, exactly? I'm the young master's bodyguard, and I lead all his security teams. Take a look at that profile. August 23rd. Blood type, AB negative. Head of personnel security, Ikari Group. Likes whetstones, paperbacks, matcha. Dislikes the opera, wasabi, and insects. Favorite author, Alexandre Dumas. Ooh. Coffee, Cafe Americano. Default status, non-work related messages will be blocked. Nice to properly meet you. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. And I'm Sarah, paralegal and bartender, part-time. Yes, I believe you already mentioned that. It seemed like we were all doing it twice. Well, thank you for your paralegal services, Sarah. Yeah, be nice to Sarah. And here I had the impression you had no sense of humor. What do you mean? It seems in this particular instance, Adone, it was you who misidentified his proper manners as being sarcastic. Glad we've all broken the ice. Makoto told me that this all started because you were taken captive yesterday. What happened? It was 2 p.m. The young master had just finished a meeting with VIP in Crane Tower, floor 1, 108. 2 p.m.? He wasn't in school? I'll ask that you refrain from mocking the young master in my presence. He is a child. Anyone can see that. But you've no idea of the pressures that have been placed on him. Whatever my client wants. As I was saying, it was just after 2 p.m. Me and the rest of my team escorted him to the elevators along our planned exit route. But our lift stopped suddenly in between floors 61 and 62. That was when I made a mistake. I had a bad feeling. Thought it best to get Makoto to the ground floor ASAP. So I forced the elevator open, crawled out, and pulled him out after me. But just as he got out, the elevator started up again, separating us from the rest of the group. It was a trap. A 50-50 one. Staying wasn't safe either. If they could stop the elevators, not stretch to think they could drop it, too. He just lost the coin flip when he decided to exit. Yes, Sarah, it was a trap. Floors 60 through 70 were undergoing heavy retrofitting. The other elevators weren't responding, comms were jammed. I'd reviewed the entire building's blueprints beforehand. Not very useful information, obviously, for a floor undergoing renovations. But I knew that there was a construction elevator we could get to, on the other side of the tower. I had to act fast. There was no time to doubt myself, and I I did something unforgivable. Oh, dude, I forgot. As I'm reading, I then just remembered, like, the weirdest thing popped in my head. Because I was like, oh, next time I see them in chat, I would say something. Fucking, I saw the announcement of, Talos Principle 3. And my mind immediately went to you. I was like, oh. Now you are tied to Talos Principle in my mind. And then, of course, my mind was like, oh, I still haven't gotten to 2 yet. I'm bad. I'm a bad person. I did, I did something unforgivable. You left the kid? I picked him up over my shoulder. Oh, well, that sounds like fun. House forgive me. Everything the young master does for the sake of his name's dignity and I. Kids are tougher than you'd think. I think he'll get over it. So you escorted him to the service elevator? Take it that's when things... Yes, I'm sorry, but I only remember a few vague details about what happened next. But I'll tell you what little I can. After I activated the lift, 2 assailants emerged from under a tarped doorway at my 7 o'clock. One tall, one thin. Tall was around 190 centimeters, and his weight, I'd say 100 kilograms with the mods. Thin was maybe 175 centimeters, but slouched. Modded as well. What I saw looked stripped down, so he couldn't have been heavier than 70 kilo. They had needle guns. Slow to fire, slow to take effect. A memorable choice. Taller one shot first. Jerked his arm when he pulled the trigger. Bad habit usually favored by street slinger punks who are used to compensating for the kickback of jailbroken zippers. He might as well have been aiming at the ceiling. Thin lines up his shot properly. Laser sight dialed in on the young master's left trapezoid. I shift into a horse rider stance and deflect the needle with my weapon. The lift doors open behind me just as another shooter steps forward at my 3 o'clock. Or so I thought, but all they had was a laser pointer. Literally, a cheap trick. But it worked. I hear a click from 8 o'clock, turn my neck, and feel a weight punch into my deltoid. A dullish kind of pain for an instant. I realize I'm already going numb. And that's when I squeeze. Squeeze? He's talking about his mods. That's how I've always described it. Others say they flex or pull or hold. I squeeze. Akita Type 2 external thoracic booster. Some burst strength and pain killing capabilities, but in short, it's a reflex enhancer. Make 1 second feel like 15 in hindsight. It makes it feel like you ran a marathon during those 15 seconds once kickback gets you. But I digress. I moved. Got Makoto into the elevator and wrenched the doors shut myself, taking 3 more needles to the back in the process. I remember saliva pooling on my lip and then cold concrete scratching my cheek. Alright, Sasuke. So you were guarding Makoto, these men laid a trap, targeted him with tranks, failed, then they take you instead? Yes, to my great shame. You were outnumbered and ambushed, but you still managed to protect Makoto. What's there to be ashamed of? That I didn't see it coming. You're saying this has happened before? Dozens of attempts in the past year. Some headed off in the early stages, some sidestepped entirely, and some stopped with force. I knew their tactics and I knew our vulnerabilities. Yet still, I failed. Sosuke, that is... not incorrect. Arane? Am I wrong? Shouldn't a bodyguard get at least 1 shot off before being taken down? Shot? What do you mean shot? You were not carrying a firearm? No. No one on the team had guns. How's that? None of us on the security team had firearms with us. But you're a gangster. I'm head of personal security for the Ikaria Financial Group. Walking onto an allied group's property armed to the teeth insults their hospitality. It makes the house look insecure, or worse, impotent. And I'm not a security expert, but I do think there's some gray area between armed to the teeth and empty-handed. I mean, didn't you just say you deflected their attack? I was not defenseless just because I wasn't carrying a gun. Oh? I had my sword. So lame. So cool. You walk around town with what? A samurai sword? You just assume that it's a katana? Is it? Yes. It is a signifier of my position within the house and shows that I'm acting as a representative of it. Is it ceremonial then? No, it is quite sharp. I can attest to that. Though it's probably in terrible condition by now, seeing how the city's police manhandle everything else they touch. Speaking of which, perhaps we should move on to the night's main events. They tried for Makoto, got you instead, and took you to the lower wards. Why? I've been wondering that myself. Aren't you essentially worthless? As a hostage, she means. I know that. Thinking back, I was surprised myself to wake up at all, let alone in captivity. But it seems they had questions they wanted to ask me. What do you remember? Whatever they used on me. I can remember some things, but how much of it was real, what order it happened in, it's all. Just say whatever comes to mind. It can be anything. Sights, smells, voices. Voices? There are no wrong answers. I was bound. My wrists bound above my head, tied to something that smelled like iron and rattled like old iron. Tiles beneath my feet, some kind of bathroom or decontamination area. Good guess. They asked me questions. I said things, loose lips, like being drunk for the first time again. But I'm confident that other than vulgarities, it was all incoherent. Because there were shocks, taste of blood. I must have bit my tongue during the spasms. And there were beatings, of course. I wouldn't have guessed. Adonai, do you need corrective lenses? Sarcasm is just how I grieve a lost opportunity, Sarah. Lost opportunity? Yeah, it's a damn shame. From what I can see of it, a pretty face like yours would go a long way with the jury if it wasn't pulverized. Ridiculous. Is he blushing? I agree about his face, Adonai, but I don't believe it is his only strong feat. Let us move on. Really? Well, in that case, how did your captivity end? Do you recall escaping? I was blindfolded the entire time, but my ears weren't boxed so bad. There was a door that squeaked and whined, so I always knew when someone was coming or going. One voice asked questions mostly. It was light. Another voice grunted when he hit me, heavy. Other voices came and went, and then eventually, there was talk. Through the door I heard, they were all talking to someone else. A new voice? Was it high-pitched or low? Loud or soft? It doesn't matter. What's important is that it belonged to someone new. Someone besides you and the dead who was there last night. Did you make out any part of their conversation? No, not a word. But there was a loud noise, gunshots, followed by shouting and ugly sounds. And then, a hollow pain in my skull as I lost consciousness again. When I next came to, I had something in my hand. In my hands. Something sharp. I didn't even think to ask what it was or where it came from. I just started working at the bindings, rushed and clumsy, poked myself in the process, but I cut them loose, then took the gag out. The blindfold was so tight I cut it rather than try and... Damn thing must have been acting as a bandage, because when I took it off, between the light and the pain, I thought that my head had split open. It took me a long time to stand up. Felt like I could lie on that cold, disgusting floor forever if I just... But something was poking me. Something tucked into my waistband. The gun. A gun. Imagine my surprise. Checked the safety, the chamber, reflexively, but only saw 2 spent slugs. I was too tired to be confused, so I just walked out that squeaky door and into red. Just red. And then I was blinking at an IV, handcuffed to a stretcher in an ambulance, some cop reading me my rights, saying that I killed 5 people. No, wait, some judge or official said that later. When I woke up in the ambulance, all they said was that I was a cop killer. Omitting some strong language. I don't understand. You were held captive, interrogated, tortured, but then you woke up armed and were able to escape? The cops didn't ask me any questions. I wouldn't have answered if they had. It's been nearly a full day, and just now saying it aloud for the first time. It truly sounds absurd. This is your world, Sasuke, not mine. Do you have any theories on what happened? Only 2 possibilities come to mind. In the first scenario, one or more of my captors wanted to kill me, but needed an excuse to do so. So they let me escape. They gave me a knife and an unloaded gun, then wait for me to stumble out so they can mist me and done with it. But the plan doesn't work. Somehow, I limp out of that room and shoot, cut, stab, kill them all. That would be quite the feat, given the condition you say you were in. Yes, tale for the ages. But it's not possible. Why isn't it possible? Even if he had the motive and they were stupid enough to give him the opportunity, he was still lacking. He was still lacking, bullets. In the brief I read, 2 of the pod were shot to death. I'm sure you're highly qualified, Sasuke, but I doubt you can fire a gun without bullets. No, I cannot. As I said, the gun I woke up with had already fired both its shots. So, if we tell the police that the gun wasn't loaded, would that clear Sasuke's name for 2 of the murders? There's no proof the gun was already empty by the time he got his hands on it. She's right. That gun was some kind of jailbroken mag rail. The only residue it would leave behind is static. So long as my prints are on it, that's all the evidence they need to claim I fired it. How about that second possibility then? Second possibility is that someone walked into that building, killed my captors, and then tried to frame me for it. No, that's absurd. Let's get rid of that idea. So I'll skate really quickly. That's that's too crazy. That sounds like lunacy. We've already eliminated the other possibility. Insane trumps impossible. Like it or not, this bad Samaritan theory is our best shot. What is it? I'm just surprised you believe me. You haven't even asked if I did it. I never ask. It helps that I can usually tell. A wise policy for the world you're setting foot into. Not as if it makes any difference here. Even I don't know if I'm guilty. You were drugged and beaten. You're still injured, even now. And we just reasoned that you couldn't have killed your captors without help. What makes you think you might still be guilty? Because I've killed before? Pale spark flickers at the back of my mind. My index finger rises slightly, my lips part. Was I expecting this? Stepping into the criminal underworld? Looking forward to it? The rare opportunity to speak frankly with someone else who's... You mean... Yes. I was in the military. Okay. I've taken lives. Many times. That doesn't make you a murderer. Soldiers are given orders. I've killed people. Whether or not a superior asked me to doesn't change that fact. But soldiers... Are you a soldier, Sarah? No. So drop it. She's good at following orders. It could take years to acquire that skill. I imagine it comes easy for androids. Yes, I suppose that's... Wait, that's an android? Did you miss the glowing barcode? And ignore my self-introduction? Look, I'm tired. I thought those were... highlights or something. Did my hair catch your eye? You have discerning taste. You see, each strand is actually... Was there something you wanted to say, Sosuke? I've taken lives before, and so I know how I feel afterwards. Then. And how do you feel right now? Right now I feel... What is it? You remember something? Yes. After I stepped out that door, I said I saw red. But I do remember one other sensation. I remember the feeling of gripping my sword. That brief you read, it listed all the charges, all the cause of death. The 5th man, the cop they said I killed. How did he die? Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Stabbed through the back with a sword, skewered like a piece of goddamn meat. And you've got the balls to ask us to carry him to a hospital? I don't think that's quite how I phrased the request. I've been paying close attention. Would you like me to play back what you said? Not right now, Sparky. Reyes, she's just doing her job. It's not like she's asking... Oh, save the lecture, gray hair. Gray? Come on, my hair isn't... It's graying, maybe. In case I haven't made it clear, I've never liked you, Morgan. Oh, you're breaking my heart. I had noticed. But I never took you for a mob lawyer. Whatever my client's associations might be, he's a cop killer. Innocent until proven guilty isn't a phrase I coined myself, Detective. It's actually somewhat important. Oh, don't worry about that. Proving won't take us long at all. Do you always take pride in rushing your investigations? We've all seen the same intake file by now, yes? My client was in bad shape when he was arrested, but his wounds were treated in medical transport. Yet somehow, in between arriving at the station and his booking, all his wounds were reopened, and some of them had multiplied. Tell me if you can, great detective. How will we ever solve the mystery of the reappearing fractured skull? Like, hiccuped as I was saying that. Your client was being moved between floors. He struggled trying to escape. And then he fell down the stairs? Really? Was there a lawnmower waiting at the bottom? Look, we're all adults here. So let's just say, your coworkers kicked the shit out of him. Well, what do you want me to do about it? I want you to uphold the law. For some reason, I thought you cared about that. A police badge isn't a time machine. By the time we took custody, he was already... She's right, Tiger. What's done is done. You know you've got a snowball's chance in hell of proving your client was assaulted while in police custody. And you'll never get charges brought against the officers who did it. So try asking for something doable. Don't go giving away all my best tricks. The door in the face tactic is already fragile. I want him to see a doctor. You've got to be shitting me. That's a bloodied KW in there with military grade mods. He's not leaving this building. But we could have a doctor brought here. And give him the chance to take a hostage? He's not the 99 man, Reyes. He can't break his cuffs. Don't say 99 man. You don't know what it means. You're too old. Alright, we got a lot of... Let's get these. Reyes. Shampoo, no conditioner's more important. Undefeated at volleyball. Volleyball. London. Dislikes ties. Wardrobe more expensive than it looks. Medical records. Whoosh. 99 man. The 99 man, or a 99 man, refers to a theoretical state of being in which a human has replaced as much of their body with cybernetic equivalents as possible, thereby becoming someone who's 99% machine and yet technically still a human. The term first appeared in the speculative fiction short story Carved Out of Marble by M.P. Smith, but it rose to prominence after the 2002 Paralympics, when middleweight track and field gold medalist Ayad Safran quoted the story as inspiration after breaking the world record at the time for the 800 meters. Since then, the phrase has been popularized as both a meme and a thought experiment, opening up discussions about transhumanism in sports, the business world, education, and beyond. Some social media influencers, athletes, or tech evangelists have taken the 99 man as a challenge, modeling themselves as much as possible with the explicit goal of approaching what they see as the current limit for transhumanism. Officially, the individual who has the greatest percentage of their body mass replaced with artificial analogs is an anonymous male adult living in the Eastern Hemisphere who is suffering from a rare and terminal form of bone cancer before signing up for an experimental surgery offered through How Industries' Theseus initiative. How officially describes patients as currently living a normal and productive life. The Theseus has never produced any consumer market products and has not published any additional research papers in the last 2 years, leading some to question whether the results are at all replicable. How about a medic who can't be taken hostage? A medical ad? Sure, great. Let's see if we can't negotiate his premium lower while we're at it. Is that a refusal, Detective Reyes? Oh, 4. I didn't say no, did I? Great. He also needs a protective detail. Lady, I swear to... Counselor? Protective details are comprised of off-duty cops. I don't think that'll have the outcome you're looking for. No. But if my client is left unattended one more night, he's likely to be declared unfit to stand trial when he shows up to court with his head caved in. An outcome I genuinely believe you're not looking for either. We could keep him here. What, in the interrogation room? Counseling quarter. Table can't be moved, but if you slide the chairs out of the way, the floor's not actually that hard. How do you even know that? Given what other lodgings he's had in the last 24 hours, I don't think your client will mind. So if Detective Reyes and Detective London take shifts keeping watch... Now we're keeping watch? It is the Homicide Department's counseling quarter. You think I give a shit what happens to that son of a bitch? You think I wouldn't walk in there myself and... You wouldn't? What? It's not in your nature. What the hell is that supposed to mean? You either have it or you don't. Trust me, if I had the chance to take a swing at that son of a bitch... Yeah, you already called him that. Piece of shit, a bastard, a killer. But unlike every other cop I walked past to get in here, you've yet to call Sasuke an animal. So what? The hell does that matter? It's the only thing that matters. I've got the outsider's perspective, so I know. Your average human can do anything to anyone, so long as they're not a person. Whatever. Think what you want, creep. Well, so long as that's your only request, we should be able to. I need to get into the crime scene as soon as possible. You've got to be... What, like tonight? She's not rushing more than anyone else, Sunshine. Everyone up the line has been raring to go on this. Now that Sasuke's actually got a lawyer. Well, maybe if that son of a bitch hadn't clammed up all day, we wouldn't... She said it again. Whatever, pick then, counselor. You can bully us into guard duty or escort duty, but we can't do both. I need both. You have to split up. But I can't help with that. Or rather, Sarah can. I can? Of course you can. You can go treat Sasuke. Adone, I'm not trained in... Oh, I love this bit. She's pretending she doesn't remember being registered as my medical ad. Yes, I would never forget that unforgettable experience. But I've never done first aid before. Well, watch a tutorial first. Use lots of sanitizer. Just hand her some bandages and she'll get Sasuke looking good as new in no time. Then you can plop her in front of the door and even 20 crooked cops working together couldn't get her to budge. That much is certainly accurate. I have a strong core, so if I focus and lower my center of gravity... Thanks for the sale pitch, but it doesn't mean shit. Crime scene is in the lower wards. If you think, after what happened last night, that any cop with a pulse would go down there without their partner, it's okay, Sunshine. I'll take her down there. Is everyone else in here huffing Nirvana? London, it's in Blue Blood territory. Blue Blood territory outskirts, really? They lost a whole pod. They'll be swarming the place. You can't go down there without backup. Backup, huh? You know Mac from Contraband? Skinny guy? Kind of a perv? Yeah, he's skinny. Look, he's got a crime scene analysis sweeps going over that place with a fine comb right about now. Drones, probes, the works. They'll have eyes on us before we get within 5 minutes of the place. Whatever. Just keep in contact for once. Hope you're being generously compensated, Eve. Selling your soul to the mob. It'd be a shame if you didn't at least get a good price. Damn. Hey, you coming, Blinkers? Blinkers. Gotta find out where they store all the med kits in this dusty old piece of... Go on. I'll be right behind you, Detective. Sorry about that. She's still new to all this, really. Not old like me. She does seem to be on edge, more so than usual. It's her first time losing a fellow officer. I think she's taking it pretty hard. Maybe even personally. Did they know each other? Ah, right. You gather up all your things. I'll go bring us up a ride. Great. Thanks for all the help, Detective. You're a lifesaver. This is one occasion where I wouldn't have had any trouble finding the place. On account of me already have been there. Really didn't take you that long to patch him up, huh? Now we just wait here all night. That clock runs pretty slow. If you're not doing anything else, Detective, might you be interested in answering some questions? Be interviewed by Sarah. 5:48 p.m. August 14th, 2086. Once more into the depths. When I went down to the lower wards last night, I knew what I wanted to find, but I wasn't sure where to look. Now I know where to look, but but I have multiple priorities to consider. It'd be nice if I can prove Sasuke's innocence. Won't be easy given that they think he killed a cop. But it'd keep me on the Ikaria's good side. That'd be nice. But what is essential is that I figure out what the hell happened after I left, and whether anyone found any trace that I was ever there. Everything else is secondary. Sorry, guess I should have asked before I decided we'd be sharing a cab. I don't mind, but I am surprised. Did budget cuts take away your shiny patrol car? Patrol cars are shared, counselor. Any cop can step into any other cop's car, sync their credentials, and drive. Convenient. Shame you can't personalize. Yeah, no more dice in the mirror. Is that why we're in a cab then? Personal taste? Police cars are full of bugs. Thought you might appreciate the privacy. Auto cabs are full of bugs too. True, but there are ways around them. Are there? I didn't know that. Yeah, plenty. Can be easy as flashing a police badge. Something you want to discuss in private, detective? I was asked to get in contact with you and pass along a message. A secret admirer? Certain interested parties and all that. You know how it is. I'm not sure I do. Does this have something to do with my client's business affiliations? It'd be a lot more blustering if I were to repeat it verbatim, so I'll paraphrase. Focus on getting the best outcome for your client. More of a reminder of what my job description is than a warning. And don't broaden the scope of your investigation any more than strictly necessary. Well, I always appreciate kind words of advice. But Detective London, that almost makes it sound like you're on the take. That's the city, Tiger. If you don't take a little, they'll bury you. Alive, if need be. Oh, they will? How conspiratorial. It's not a joke, Morgan. Do they threaten your wife with Tommy guns if you don't comply? Huh. It's gotten more sophisticated than that. Well, maybe sophisticated isn't the right word. Complicated might be more accurate. Or you could just call it a quagmire. Or even a shitstorm. If you can't get along to go along, even other cops won't trust you. You'll end up shot in the back, friendly fire, tragic newspaper clipping. You're exaggerating. You're telling me the entire police force is corrupt? Corruption would be one thing. You could, in theory, root it out. But above and below the canopy, it's all intertwined. Every tree stabilizing every other tree. What do they call that? Not parasitism. Commensalism? There you go. The state pays criminal informants to rat on their peers and lets them keep their possessions in exchange. Orcas buy judges and politicians keep their men out of prison. Status quo. Balancing act. A cycle. Stable as any gyroscope. Forgive me if I find that hard to believe. Crime is at an all-time low. That's not a contradiction. People hate crime. But what gets people killed is chaos. And the opposite of organized crime is... So, everyone's playing nice with each other? Even Detective Reyes? She's... What about the man they think my client killed? Did he play nice? He was a special case. You got the brief? You recognize his last name? It's a big city. I don't put too much stock into last names. You'll need to break that habit if you continue to work in the underworld. Sasuke said something similar. Tariq Chopin? Only son of Miguel and Dominic Chopin? Chopin? Tariq Chopin. August 9th, date of birth. A positive. Blood type. Patrol officer. Likes 24/7 news, calligraphy, and late dinners. Dislikes gray hairs, untucked shirts, mint. Bachelor of Science in Applied Philosophy. Awarded senatorial commendation of bravery. Posthumous. Survived by fathers Miguel and Dominic Chopin, city councilmen. With hands on his hips. The power couple? Why would the son of two of our city's most prominent council members be working as a police officer? You want the full story? Always. So who is this Chopin, really? An idealist? Wrong line of work, then. You're only half right. When he entered the academy, everyone assumed it was a political move. First step in his career to becoming a senator or whatever. Maybe it was, but anyone who met the guy could tell you he would have been made a lousy politician. You're saying he was honest? Wouldn't tell a lie if his life depended on it. Guy couldn't do small talk, much less make friends. Talking about cleaning up the city, cleaning up the police, cleaning up everything. If he was so unpopular, why was he kept on? I read that weird. Why was he kept on? No one on the force wanted to risk insulting his parents by firing him. Just got passed around from department to department, detail to detail. He did a lot of community outreach. Community outreach? What, like bake sales? Like giving talks at schools about saying no to drugs until you turn 21? Oof. Must really loved his job to put up with that. Or he just wanted to prove a point that bad. Don't you try to save lower wards patrols for the more seasoned, better armed officers? We do, yeah. How'd you know that? By going to lower wards and looking at the cops you send there, of course. I read about it in Watch magazine last month. Oh. If Chopin was the son of such powerful men, why did he end up in the lower wards last night? That? I don't know. You don't know? By all accounts, he and his partner should have been at least 2 patrols removed from that area. Must have been following up on some other lead. His partner? Who's that? The hero who finally arrested the Hound of Icaria. That's who. I'll have to send him a congratulatory fruit basket. Huey Rogers. Pretty bare bones record, but maybe I'll just add to his legend. What legend? Taking your client alive. Whacked him on the head with his sidearm. Knocked him out cold. Guess it is a small miracle that Sasuke wasn't just shot dead if they thought he killed the cop. Maybe, but it wasn't pure luck. Only thing that did stick out to me in Rogers' record was his shooting score. 41. Out of 100. You need 40 to pass. I think someone took pity on him when tallying up his score. So he only whacked Sasuke on the head because he was too bad of a shot to avenge his partner? At least Rogers knows his weaknesses. I keep hearing that name, the Hound of Icaria. I cringe every time. No one actually calls him that, right? The Dragon of Dojima. Sorry, but I've definitely heard that name circulating around organized crime before. Must be one hell of a bodyguard to have earned a nickname for it. He's a bodyguard? Then yeah, must be pretty good. Of course, hound dogs are known for other things besides guarding. Sorry, that was, crude. Don't be sorry. I don't even get enough of the joke to be offended. Okay, that all makes for some interesting food for thought. But, Detective London, if you are working for the Blue Buds... I never said I work for the Blue Buds. It's more of a gig worker type thing, Tiger. I'm friends with everybody. If you are working for the mob in general, then... how do I know you're even taking me to the right place and not to... Whoa, whoa. I may pass a message along here and there, but I'm not... Damn. Hell, no one else is either. Whatever you're imagining, it's not that exciting, I promise. Not that exciting? Sounds about right. Is that like this in every city? Is it like this in every city? Handshakes and gentlemen's agreements behind closed doors? You disillusioned? The state has a great deal of power, Detective London. It makes countless rules. Now, I'm a big girl. I know that those rules don't apply to people equally. And I understand the value of criminal informants and the possible conflicts of interest that arise in trying to keep them around. What I don't get is why the state has all this strength. And it won't use it to just wipe the underworld off the map. It's pretty cold logic. I'd expect my state to be far colder. Hey, you ever heard this one? A politician, a CEO, and a mob boss are sitting at a round table with a gun in the middle. Who are you betting on? I'm going CEO. A CEO looks at a loaded gun and sees the bullets in the clip as inventory that needs moving. Plus, they're used to taking a job and setting up their golden parachute before anything else. I doubt they'd walk into that room without first planning how they're getting out of it. Fair enough. CEOs only get the job in the first place by convincing their board that they can navigate high stakes. But it's a trick question, of course. Rock, paper, scissors has no trump card. The politician can bring the heavy arm of the law down onto the mob boss if he doesn't shoot the CEO for him. The mob boss can have the CEO's family killed if he doesn't blow away the politician first. And the CEO can turbocharge the campaign of whomever the politician's opponent is if he refuses to miss the mob boss. Yeah, seems like you could make that argument to go in the other directions too. You could. So the point the riddle is meant to teach is this. Whoever convinces someone else to pull the trigger comes out on top. Funny. So in the parable, you've set up the gun on the table. That's the police. A blameless tool with no will of its own. Yeah. Though it was older men than I who set it up. Didn't realize this country's police were so powerless. However do you manage? We used to have a partner that helped us out. A tiebreaker. Because all three of those powerful men... got choked up there. Powerful men. I'm like just reading at a turbo pace here. Because all three of those powerful men would be screwed if a journalist told the world they were meeting together. I've got good news for you, detective. Journalists still exist. I could introduce you to one. Could even take a photograph. Oh, I know they're not extinct. People always write. It's just that no one wants to pay them to. Sorry, didn't mean to talk so much. Maybe it's nerves coming back down here. What happened the last time you visited? Something up? Didn't put you to sleep, did I? No. Actually, your 3-seat table reminded me of an even older thought experiment. If God is omnipotent, why does he allow the existence of the devil? Title drop. Even I know that one. To preserve free will, or whatever, right? Yeah, that's the answer most people give. But now I'm wondering if it's a rock, paper, scissors deadlock like the one you just described. God lets the devil be so he'll terrify man, and man will always need God's born protection. And God needs man's faith, which can't be compelled. Of course, most people would say that God's long dead in the 21st century, but we're still around. So it leaves the devil in an awfully strong position, doesn't it? You always picture 3 men in that room, don't you? Huh? Yeah, I guess I do. Sorry. Do 55 feminist rosaries for your penance. That's good. 6:01 p.m. August 14th, 2086. Lower rewards. Okay, I'm gonna take a BRB. I'm gonna restock my water and stretch my legs here, and we'll try to go for another hour or an hour and a half after I'm back. Let's see, a BRB screen. Here we go. Okay, I'll be right back. Alright, let's continue. I'm thoroughly stretched. Detective London? Oh, I gotta click into the game, my bad. We're definitely not alone down here. But when you reassured your partner that we'd have company, I didn't think you were including blue bloods. Ah. You know, I knew I'd forgotten to mention. What? Well, then she's a liar, babe. Because I never said that. No, I never said that. Oh, come on, babe. That's what she's like. She lies for fun. Because that's what I call you, babe. It's a pet name. You like it. No, don't hang up. Don't hang up, baby. Don't hang up. Of course I do. We gotta get to work, hon. I'll have to call you back, babe. Something just came up. London? What is this? London? Who is this? Counselor Morgan. This is Adelaide Hahn. She's, well, she's a blue blood. Hey, I'm a perfectly legitimate career woman. You're speaking to a Zionist security site manager. If you need anything, miss, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let me take a look at that card. Business card listing our site manager, front blue blood criminal organization, includes her personal contact number on top of her work details for some reason. Speaking of, I'll just save just in case. I haven't saved this whole time and I'm paranoid. That Nier Automata situation scares me now. Could happen to any game, who knows? A real business card, it even has a watermark. I'm not familiar with Sinus. We're a private security investigating firm. We provide bouncers, armed escorts, catch cheating partners, find runaway debtors, run paternity tests, that kind of stuff. Sinus Security is a trusted partner in your business ventures, offering a suite of private security services, including but not limited to bodyguards, convoys, bouncers, private investigators, paternity tests, family history research, and shipping insurance. Answer a few questions about your needs in our portal below, and we'll get you set up with the peace of mind you've been searching for. Your browser may prompt you with security pop-up when interacting with some of the features on our site. You can safely disregard these messages that are related to a legal matter that has already been settled out of court. We apologize for the disruption in your site experience. Sorry, but have we met somewhere? No, can't be. I'll never forget a beauty like you. She's the Hound's lawyer, Han. Seriously? She works for those copper-headed scumbags? So we're mortal enemies? That sucks. Another life then, hey? But I'll still play nice if you will. Right. So you're private security, and you're currently securing this crime scene? Yeah? What's with the tone? What you're hearing is genuine bewilderment. London, why are the police letting blue bloods contaminate the crime scene where a cop died? A fair question. Adelaide Han. I'm gonna go with Han. Han. April 16th birthday. Blood type O negative. Occupation site manager, Sinus Security. Likes new furniture, silk clothes, dimples. Dislikes clingy types, jealous types, needles. Plays pickup games. Avoids laundry day. Least favorite chore, throwing out dead flowers. Come on, we don't have cooties. If this wasn't the location where a cop died, we'd have already turned full control over to them. What? The police contract out the security around crime scenes to private companies all the time. And around here, private company best suited for the job happened to be Sinus. Letting them conduct their own side investigations is a small concession to keep the peace. A small concession? They're probably in there destroying evidence as we speak. We have the arcs to preserve the crime scene. If they could burn the building down, we'd still have a pristine copy. London Bridges is trying to save face. Police couldn't keep this crime scene off limits without our help, and he knows it. Gremlins would be smashing their shiny cameras and popping their expensive tires on the clock if we weren't there. Lower Ward's kids take out drones by tossing shoes at them for fun. Is that why you see shoes hanging off wires? No. I don't know why that happens. It's just a thing teens have always done for fun. Mystery solved? Fine. Maybe the cops and the Blue Bloods are all consummate professionals who never even bicker. But what kind of impartiality can I expect coming here to defend Ikaria? Well, you might get some ugly looks from those with less chivalry, but no one's gonna get in your way. We know how defensive attorneys operate. We know damn well how you usually win. No one's gonna do anything that let you worm the hound out of his life sentence on a technicality. You sure you wouldn't prefer that? To have him back out on the streets so you can take another shot at him? Oh, so flattery. That's how you flirt. What does that mean? You think we'd ever manage to gun down the hound of Ikaria in the street? Shank him in a holding cell? Blue Bloods took him alive just fine the other day, didn't they? Yeah, and look what happened to them afterwards. So you won't tamper with the crime scene just because you want to make sure the state lobotomizes Sasuke for pentuple homicide? Yeah. I mean, we also literally get paid good money to do these kinds of jobs, so we have a reputation to maintain. Rate us 5 stars when you're done looking around, okay? I'll be sure to leave a glowing review. So this is the main entrance. Front door looks about as heavy as I remember, but it's unlocked. What's that? How was this door found? Chop and Rogers were the first officers on the scene, responding to gunfire. Someone heard that? Good thing I cleaned up fast. Checked the area, then entered through the front door. The door was definitely locked when I arrived, but I didn't lock it behind me when I left. Didn't have any keys. Admiring our handiwork? This is a sinus installation. Who else would Blue Bloods trust to secure Blue Blood buildings? How does it lock? You never used a key before? I want to know how the lock functions. Does it lock behind you automatically? That's a good question. You looking to buy? Because I could set you up. It is a good question, Han. Why don't you answer it? Yeah, this model locks behind you by default. You need a key to get in if someone doesn't unlock it for you from the inside. A physical key? Physical keys can't be hacked or overridden by a police badge. Some people consider those useful features. Is that why the door's ajar? Looks like the lock's been destroyed. Was it found like this? Yeah, for as long as the ARCS has been up. We know what ARCS is. Programmed, yeah, yeah. We had read that. Front door, evidence. Sure, I definitely had to unlock it to let me inside. I didn't think to see if it had locked behind me after I left. Great. Okay, so yeah. For as long as the ARCS has been set up, it definitely wasn't locked when me and Reyes arrived, which was around 10:20 p.m. Hang on, you and Reyes, what were you the second officer, what? Were you the second officers on scene? That's right. We weren't far from the 10:999 went out at 10:15. 999? 10999 is an emergency response code utilized in municipal systems around the nation, most frequently to signify that one or more first responders' lives are in danger. Most police departments' standard issue suite of biomonitors allow this code to be sent out across emergency networks automatically when cardiac activity is disrupted or blood pressure changes rapidly. Due to the non-negligible chance that moderate exercise could be misinterpreted by biomonitors, leading to false alarms, some departments make it a policy to avoid enabling the automatic alert function. Long way from precinct 254, isn't it? We were in the area. Awkward. You want the tour then? Actually, I'd like to check out the alley first. You know the crime scene's on the 3rd floor, right? Yeah, but it has a window that opens to the alley, doesn't it? I just prefer to start from the bottom and work my way up sometimes. Sure, we can start there. Just be careful where you step if you like those boots at all. Mind your boots. Sorry, I gotta drink some water. Okay. It was much darker last night than it is now, and I only took a quick peek. But even so, this looks like it's been moved, huh? Yes. Was trash picked up last night, perhaps? Checking the model number on the side. Looks like dumpsters of this make haven't been picked up by the city in a decade. I didn't realize there was a DRM on trash cans. Hey, it's a heavy model. Tough to lift. even if its wheels weren't broken. And designed for containing industrial waste. How it ended up here in a residential district isn't that hard to puzzle out? Isn't that hard to puzzle out, is it? It was cheaper for the Megs to dump their shit on us than it was to haul it to a landfill. Is that why I can see markings on the ground there? From leaks? Ah, you really are a tourist, aren't you? I've been in the lower wards before. But only at night, right? Rain's dirty down here. Stains the ground wherever it falls. Acid rain. Like from the history books? Not quite that bad. Just smog combined with precipitation combined with the charms of the city to make dirty rain. Like I said, lower ward spring water. There's a shot named after it. Tequila and pickle juice. Ugh. I would not drink that. Notorious pickle hater that I am. So is the dumpster empty? Let's see. Hey, grab a glove if you're gonna... Yeah, it's mostly empty, except for a bunch of scrap metal at the bottom. Explains why I can't get it to budge. Careful. If you get your toe trapped under there, don't look at me to help you just because I'm modded. Are you saying you couldn't budge it either? Could if a girl was cheering me on. Okay, London, thanks. Don't know what I was expecting to find, really. Now just watch it so you don't... Let the lid slam. Sorry. Dumpster. Makes a very unpleasant sound. It feels like that's going to be a key piece of evidence. Redemption. I'm going to read and get this right. One problem with blue buds and cops running security. Don't know who to blame for leaving their shit here. I'll give them more high ground to whichever part of society learns to pick up after themselves first. Bombing ruled out in university fire. Alright, focus. Focus up. Panic abounded last week on campus when the computer labs at Nortechnica University were set ablaze in the early hours of the morning. Students and faculty skirted the campus in anxious, hunched postures as federal agents descended on the lab's vicinity, searching for signs that could point to a culprit. But as of today, the fire has officially been ruled an accident and successfully traced back to a cooling system failure in the basement's main server hub, a freak accident that has provided simultaneous relief and confusion to the community. When the fire was first reported on, many were quick to point out similarities to other fires and bombings recently reported as sweeping eastward across the nation. Dubbed by some members of the press as work of the Witch of the West, each incident appears to have targeted data infrastructure, hitting state, corporate, and academic nerve centers and leaving behind significant financial grief in the aftermath. 100,000 files related to student debt, all of it non-recoverable. Oh, I fucking wish, man. Said one anonymous campus security specialist after the university's student registry records went up in literal smoke. We're reaching out to alumni as quickly as we can to try and piece the records back together, but frankly, a lot of them have been less than eager to speak with us, so I wonder why. And we may have no choice but to re-examine payment plans for our current students' tuition. Dude, if I was to get a call like that, and they're like, hey, can you remind us, like, what your student loan debt amount is and what you make currently, what you pay currently? I'd be like, I'm sorry, you're up on me. Boop. Federal investigative officials have no formal comments at this time, but some local law enforcement officers have described seeing federal agents frustrated with the so-called witch. Criticism of the response has begun to surface from the political realm, with Senator Colt now formally calling for the Director of Investigations to testify as to the progress or lack thereof in the search for the serial arsonist and other notable... Hey, we don't seem to have your ID in our database, but if you simple it up. Okay, I feel like I've heard stories about bombings out west the last few months, but I didn't know they'd all be attributed to one person, or that they're now calling them the Witch of the West. There's no mention of victims, only data centers being targeted. But clearly this witch is hitting someone where it hurts. If they've now got feds involved. What really stands out here is that the federal investigators are getting involved. Most national security agencies were absorbed to the military police complex decades ago. That bureau survived, but it's a mere fraction of the size it used to be, very different in its function. Their modern reputation is that of attack dogs, deployed by the Senate to make examples of political targets. Can't say I like the idea of them being out here hunting for serial offenders. We got that one right. That one was easy, though. The other one, probably was also easy, but I messed up, so. This fire escape would lead right up to the crime scene, assuming it doesn't come crashing down once you step onto it. It's missing the ladder that would connect it to street level. You're violating fire code with this tetanus trap, Han. Building inspection's not my department. Besides, who'd want to climb up into a burning building? Firefighters? You're funny, Bridges. Even a copper firefighter wouldn't risk getting signed to save the lower ward's property from burning down. An ad could probably make the jump up there. Ads are heavy. If an android leaped onto that, the whole mess would probably come down on top of them. That's an evidence thing? Oh, the fire escape in general. Okay. Yeah. Article thing we just read. Term. Copper. A derogatory word for automated dependents, particularly ones licensed by or operating under the authority, of the state. Interested parties in the automated dependent industries have, on more than one occasion, lobbied... Oh, we've read this. I remember the... Yeah. Yeah. Modders are heavy, too. Hey! Looks like the only way into the building is through the front door, then. Alright, I'm done back here. So I think I've seen everything I... That's right. I was standing here last night when... Oh yeah. The random, what, kid? The peeper? It was dark and foggy. The kid was too far off to make it out of my face. Weren't they? What is it, Tiger? Nothing. Thought I saw someone out of the corner of my eye, that's all. Yeah? Around here. Maybe it was an unlisted. What do you... Those are real? Keep to themselves, obviously, but yeah, they're real. I've met some. They inform, sometimes of what they've seen. Never come in to testify, of course. You'd think they'd stand out dressing like that, but if their camouflage didn't work, they wouldn't be unlisted, right? What do you mean they keep to themselves? Don't they work with any of the gangs down here? Sorry, have I gotten your hopes up or something? Trust me, you've got better a chance of winning the lottery than running into one. Right. Forget I asked. Unlisted is an informal designation given to individuals, often missing persons or unhoused, who are not being tracked in a government database. For much of the 21st century, individuals of this description were most often undocumented immigrants. Following shifts in immigration patterns and the implementation of the Military Service Citizenship Program, aka the Minutemen Bill, undocumented immigration has sharply declined. While many non-citizens do live and work within the country, they are tracked through immigration monitoring and services, or as part of their military service agreement until they either leave the country or are fully naturalized at the end of their service. Today, unlisted mostly refers to small groups of seasonal workers who travel the country in migrating caravans to find work, undercutting corporate contracts on various agricultural fungal installations. Some anthropological studies have described groups of unlisted living in urban, generally poor areas of what are effectively homeless communities. Unlike most homeless people, the overwhelming majority of whom are unhoused for less than 2 weeks, these enlisted actively refuse state housing assistance or assistance of any kind. Concerns about malnourishment, illiteracy, extreme poverty, and rampant mental illness within unlisted populations has, at times, spurred outreach programs that attempt to contact them. But their very nature is unlisted. Actual data on their quality of life or cultural practices is virtually non-existent, making most politicians hesitant to commit resources toward these causes. Right. Forget I asked. You ready to go inside? I think so, so long as... No, I'm not with anyone else. It's just me here. Because she's shrill, princess. And delusional. You know that? I'm sure she'll catch up. So you were saying this used to be an apartment building? Somewhere between that and a long-stay motel, yeah? Blue Bloods didn't deviate far from that model when they took over. They call rooms like these vaults. Place to stash away a lover, witness, debtor, when there's too much heat. You've gone through all these vaults, I take it. Sinus helped us with that last night, yeah? Bringing around master keys, clearing out every possible hiding place. Didn't find a red-handed killer hiding anywhere, did you? Sorry, no. So is this the Blue Bloods' forte, then? Securing people, places, things? You could think of it that way. Guess I always assumed gangs made their money through drugs. Well, the Blue Bloods do deal here and there, but narcotics has been a rich man's game ever since the CDCA rolled in. CDCA. I feel like we had gotten that term before too. Yeah. Yeah. If you have the funds to ride the gray wave that way, the way House Icaria does, you can make a killing. They've got the market corner from black to gray to white to pure green profit. The Blue Bloods hate that they have to make do with all the scraps the Megs in the house don't bother producing in mass. Professional jealousy? How ugly. Why can't these underworld overlords just bury the hatchet, get together and screw over the consumer like reasonable people do? They've tried, if you believe the rumors. About a year ago now, there was some kind of meeting, an olive branch from the golds to the blues. Apparently, the Blue Bloods had a product that the Icaria wanted to distribute. The Icaria sell legal drugs now, though? And what kind of product could the Blue Bloods have that the Icaria couldn't manufacture? Not sure. Man, that's why it went south so fast. Blood was spilled in less than an hour. The Icaria aren't the type to keep negotiating after being spat on like that. And so, the Blue Bloods remain firmly planted in their lower wards niche. They might not like having to take the low end, but they are filling a gap in the market. And that's every proper capitalist's calling, right? Besides, workers certainly appreciate the protection down here. Workers hire Blue Bloods for protection, but all this stuff is legal, as long as they're licensed, isn't it? Legal, yeah. Respectable? Most would still say no. So, household name security megs consider it too high risk to be seen in the company of workers. Worker is a shortened form of the term sex worker, generally used to refer to individuals who are legally licensed as such, as opposed to those who are engaging in sex work outside of legal guidelines. Sex workers operating in high-end establishments, generally and specifically zoned municipal districts with high medium property tap prices, cloud districts, and catering to only specific clientele, may be more commonly referred to as courtesans. Doesn't help that their average board member is easily pushing 60 years old. You aren't that far from pushing 60 yourself, are you? Matter of opinion. Besides, I'm a very modern, forward-thinking man. Did you finish those 50 rosaries already? Right. And the Icaria, they don't, compete in that market? No. People at the Icaria's heights might patronize a courtesan or two in the cloud districts, but they'd never lower themselves to work alongside one. Hypocrites. That much I understand perfectly. The hypocrisy is the appeal for them. The rules don't apply to me. You couldn't ask for a more pure expression of power. Water break. Okay. Damn, says London. Worse than I remember. Like a demon tore through the place. Seriously. What the hell happened here? That's what we all get paid to find out, right? Yeah. I've definitely got a head start on the rest of you, though. Shall we bring up the arcs? Sure. I'll patch you in. Allow me. If you're needed on the phone, Miss Hahn, please don't let me keep you here. Nonsense. I've got all the time in the world for you. Everyone's treating me like royalty today. Whip. Crime scene. Took the words right out of my mouth. Where shall we start? How about with tall, dark, and mysterious in the middle here? That's your client. He was found standing over Chopin's body by the arresting officer. Rogers, right? And then he knocked Sosuke out? Correct. So why is it this artistic rendition of Sosuke and not a capture from Rogers' body cam? Well, seems like at the time, their body cam was off? Seriously? Hey, I'd chew him out myself if he was here with us. It's department policy to have all sensors green when responding to an emergency. Did all this not qualify as an emergency, then? Chopin and Rogers were responding to shots fired. It's not uncommon in this part of town. For two inexperienced officers, first on the scene, it might not have come to mind. At least, Chopin could use that excuse. Rest in peace. But apparently Rogers requests replacement body cams nearly every week. Okay. If he's that big of a klutz, take away his gun once the city's done throwing him a parade. I'll, put in a request. Right then, who's next? The screen. I turned it on to distract Tanks long enough to grab his gun, and I remember choosing not to turn it back off. Interesting setup. Powerful setup. It was blaring when we arrived. Sound system, I mean. One of the CS techs is a real audiophile. Said it broke her heart how loud they must have blared the speakers all the time. Wears it out, she said. I wouldn't count on orcas to value the longevity of their tech purchases. That flash on the screen. Whoosh. Whoosh. I'll get to that. Blood loss from the neck. Even I can tell that much. Stabbed with a bladed weapon right near the carotid artery. Very efficient. Not the kind of kill someone can make without prior experience. My client's a humble bodyguard. Come on now. I know you got a job to do, but you'll shame him if you don't let him take credit for this one. Miller was no joke in a fight. To take him out with one clean stab to the neck using his precious signature katana, the hound must be itching to brag about it. I'll defer to the medical examiner on this one, thank you very much. What do you mean? Sato said the same thing. Katana to the neck and not so many words. Is Miller's blood even on the katana? Even if it is, why would a medical examiner assume the katana was used here when my knife is a much better fit for... my knife? Where is it? Where? I gave Sosuke the knife before I left. It should have been found on him when he was arrested. Should be somewhere in the arcs. You look for something, Tiger? If they haven't found the knife and I ask about it anyway, that'd mean admitting that I know it's missing. If I tell them Sosuke mentioned a knife that only the killer would know about, I'd be ruining my case before we even enter the courtroom. Or worse, pointing the police in the direction of the knife's real origin. No, was anything found on my client's person when he was arrested? Besides a gun, a sword, and a bunch of blood that didn't belong to him? No. Not even any lint in his pockets. Why do you ask? No reason. Sometimes you gotta shake the tree to see what falls out. Or so they say. Oh, you're blindly guessing? I've been there. Something must have happened to that knife. Couldn't have just disappeared. Not from a crime scene locked down like this. I'll need to find it, but I can't just go looking for it. Is this what it feels like to play with a handicap? I advise you to brace yourself before opening the autopsy photos for this one, counselor. Yes, this is sufficiently obfuscated. A lot to take in. Skull is crushed? Yes, but the cause of death was blood loss from a laceration across the neck. He hit the floor and bled out in seconds. Everything else you're seeing there is post-mortem. Overkill. Not the word I'd use for this kind of shit. Oh, calm down. Didn't do it for the fun of it. In this specific instance. This victim had modded eyes. Seems to me like someone just didn't want to take any chances. Bullshit. No one in the lower wards would get optic mods with recording functionality. You wouldn't be welcome anywhere. You're gonna claim the Hound of Icaria didn't know something that fundamental? Nah, he bashed his brains in for the fun of it. I'm sure to a law-abiding citizen like yourself, we're all scum of the earth who deserve. I'm pretty scummy myself, Han. Defense attorney, remember? Psh, who the hell deserves shit like this? Deserves? What does that have to do with anything? I take it that this Baz what did the deed? Matches splinters found inside his wounds, if you had any doubts. There's nothing here about Sosuke's fingerprints. You think we could get anything but partials off that? It's practically splinters. Makes sense. I was the one who actually swung it down, and I was wearing gloves by then. Whoever did this, they were damn enthusiastic. You know how hard they'd have to swing to crush a skull, to break the bat itself? Can't imagine. There's some faint blood that's been smeared here. Did it belong to the victim? This victim? And Sosuke. Wonder if maybe the bodies hadn't gotten moved around for some reason, but client's legs and feet were soaked in others' blood when he was arrested, and you would have had to sneak up on Chopin in order to stab him in the back. You think he slid his feet across the ground to avoid making noise? Does he say otherwise? I'll let you keep guessing on that one. Boom. Through this door is where they were keeping Sosuke, and where I let him off the leash. I'll leave that for after I finish in here. Oh. Of course. Windows open to the fire escape in the alley below. There's a thin misting of blood across them. Got a good guess as to who it belongs to. This is where we found Creek, leader of the pod. Ballistics tells us Shooter was standing in front of the desk, near where my client was found. Your words, not mine. Nasty slug burst in his chest. Blew blood back onto the windows behind him. The open windows. Hell of a spread. Yes, it is. Did someone open these or... No, they were open when we secured the scene. Any fingerprints? Plenty on the handles there, from Creek and his pod. That's where the handles are? Something wrong? Definitely. But how the hell could I explain what I know that? No, sorry, I guess I'm wondering about the keys around his neck and the arcs. Oh, well, one was a master key. Could unlock any other door in the building. The other key, we eventually paired to a small safe in his desk. Empty, though. Suppose that's all relevant, since he apparently died with keys on his person. Yeah, caught my eye too, to be honest, but not every detective's instinct pans out. So who was this guy? Curious. Only professionally. I don't care what he was before I killed him. Criminal record dating as far back as it goes. Sealed when he turned 18. What makes you so sure he was a juvenile record then? More experience these guys get, more time in between their rests. Pattern I'm seeing, he was pretty damn experienced by the time he was of age. You trying to compliment him? I wasn't trying to insult him, hon. Anything you'd like to add? Nah, nothing I want to say in front of you two. If you want to say a few words, the detective and I could step. Only words I have are for his killer. We'll deliver them in person, or not at all. Fair enough. Do you have any idea why someone might want to hurt this Creek fellow? It's not funny. That dog you're defending? It's a fair question, hon. Give it fair consideration. Besides the Icaria, the Rust, or our city's finest? No. Creek was charismatic and driven. Plus, he made us a lot of money. No true blue would want him gone. The bloodthirsty Icaria soldier he was interrogating, however, probably wasn't a huge fan. What about family? It's getting old fast. Younger brother's listed as the next of kin. Leave his brother out of this. Hell, leave me out of this. Rooting through a person like you're picking at zits? Well, seems he's out of town anyway. Taking summer lessons at How Marine Are You? That's a good school. An expensive school. Younger brother has no listed occupation. Also no priors and no juvenile record. Tad, at his age. Poor kid. Titty. Pills for that cost an arm and a leg. Creek must have been sending him. Detective? Did you just leak the confidential medical data of a non-suspect to a third party? Hey, you don't have to report. How about I buy you an ice cream or something? Bribery too? You're digging yourself pretty deep. Is it still bribery if I'm the government official? Blinded. Creek's fine wood desk. He seemed particular about it. Maybe in no small part because I had a priceless gnome mask hidden inside it, but... I assume you've been through this datapad here? Front to back, but we didn't find anything we didn't already know. Seems like Creek was smart enough to use it for payments and nothing else. We have a lot of... Let me just... clear through the evidence here. There. Seems like Creek was smart enough to use it for payments and nothing else. How do you manage that? Even gangsters need spreadsheets. Hence the paperwork you see scattered about. They really did everything by hand. PPP is what they call it over in organized crime. Paper and pencil protocol. Helps the orcas keep their books off the books. Or at least in a format that's easier to destroy should push come to shove. Did you run checks on this credit card that's jammed in here? Ah, not surprised you don't recognize it. That there's a dark card. Wow, tell me more. Wow, tell me more. It's an untraceable wallet in the palm of your hand. I would hope any wallet would fit in the palm of your hand, detective. But you really can't find the owner? Can't trace any of its transactions? Most we can tell is the datapad registered calls to dark card networks at around 9:40 p.m., but it timed out. What does that mean? Transfer didn't go through. Either someone got cold feet or they forgot their password. Happens to the best of us. By the way, why has this cloth been flagged? Not sure. Forensics didn't find blood on it. Who flagged it? Lady Rockford herself. Could be that she fat-thumbed it. Yeah, sure it's nothing. Oh, that feels like that's gonna come back. Especially knowing Rockford. Emma, she did it. It's gonna be the final attack against us. Paper scattered all over his desk. Suppose I'm partially to blame. Didn't exactly memorize the setup before I started searching for the mask. What's this? What'd you find there? A note? Looks like Creek's handwriting from the other files I've seen. M. Icaria. Looks like M. Icaria, actually. He's dead, London. I was gonna let the spelling mistake slide. Right, sorry, but M. It's gotta be Makoto, right? You know Makoto? I know he's the Ikaria's heir apparent. From what I hear, he's an appropriately frightening young scion. He's really quite something. But why would his name be on Creek's desk? He was Creek's real target the other day. Sos gave us some kind of consolation prize. Bagging the Hound was a consolation prize? These punks had their sights set high. Yeah. Like no one taught them not to stare at the sun. Alright. Oh, not yet. There's another. The big one. He made a strange face when I shot him, and a loud slam when he hit the floor. This one, real long rap sheet, with a short ending. Buckshot to the torso. Died instantly. Flex Werner's mods put his time of death at 9:44 p.m. Killed by his own weapon. Comes up a bit short of poetic justice, but doesn't look like he was in any kind of struggle for it beforehand. But how did someone manage to get it off of his hands? Wasn't any great feat, I assure you. Techs identified as a double-barreled Mag US and Magus? Hey, how'd you know the gun was his? He's still wearing the holster in the arcs. Was I mistaken? No. Smooth one. About a week ago, tanks here were stopped and frisked by a patrol unit. And they found this here gun on him. They found this gun on him, and they just handed it back to him? He bought and paid for it above board. So this gun isn't jailbroken. You have tag data from the murders? No, we don't. Strange. According to the text, the gun is jailbroken. What happened between last week and last night that he'd get the tag stripped off? Something that made him think this piece would see action soon. Magus. No. Dark card. Who the hell are you, really? Why are you lying there dead right in the middle of my crime scene? Damn, Morgan. That was Tariq Chopin, as you might guess. Patrol officer, and son of two loving fathers, who strongly emphasized to the chief of police their desire to see justice done. Reyes wasn't exaggerating about how he died. Run through from behind with a sword. So he would have been standing in front of the desk. Then he was impaled. Then he collapsed to the floor face first, and the sword got stuck in the ground. Bad luck for the attacker, I suppose. Yeah, Dr. Satos noted in her report that the stab wound was, in her words, jostled. Pardon? Like, the attacker tried to pull it out, but it was stuck, so they had to jiggle it around? Hey, it's probably what saved Roger's life. Kept your client distracted and disarmed long enough to give Rogers time to rush in. Allegedly. Not where I left you, that's for sure. And according to Sosuke, the one thing he does recall after I pass the baton to him is gripping his sword. You're not giving me much to work with. Fingerprints on the grip match your client's right hand, by the way. Here I was getting my hopes up. And it definitely wasn't suicide, because no one else's prints on the damn thing. Thanks, Han. Thanks for your input. I ruled out suicide once I saw you stabbed in the back. Thank you. There are papers scattered underneath his body. Did I knock them off the desk at some point? Maybe when the tall one hit the ground. Or maybe when I was swinging that bat down on... Hang on. What kind of paper is this? I can't read a word. Really? You should get that looked at. My vision's 20/20. What am I looking at, Miss Site Manager? Those docs are internal business, ma'am. Nothing to worry your pretty little head over. How do you know they're internal business if we can't read them? Really never seen red ink before? Never heard of it. It's a corporate information security protocol. Files with special flags trigger specific print commands if you try to make physical copies. Makes it use some kind of special ink. Try to take a photo of it, it comes out a bright blur. Paper's special too. Too much heat, humidity, becomes illegible. A corpse bleeding out on top of you is a lot of heat and humidity. So these documents contain confidential data. The blue buttons wouldn't want getting out. Let me reread that sentence again. So these documents contain confidential data that the blue bloods wouldn't want getting out. Tough blue bloods. Blue. It just reminds me of that. Was it on a clip from like 90 Day Fiance or something, where they were asking some like foreign lady like, oh, you play video games, what video games do you play? And she's like, Bloodborne. And they're like, Blueborn? What is that? And she's like, Bloodborne. It's like, she's like, RPG. And they're like, it's an RPG. What's it called? She was like a big fan of Bloodborne, but she was saying it like, and they couldn't. I must be tired. I don't know why that clip's coming to mind and why I think it's so funny. Bloodborne. She was just a Bloodborne fan, and they couldn't for the life of themselves understand she was saying Bloodborne. A simple misunderstanding, obviously. Bloodborne. But I keep thinking of Bloodborne every time I say Blue Bloods. Blue Bloods. And my mind wants to keep saying Blue Boods. Anyway, what did they say in the movies? Can't confirm nor deny that. And if I subpoenaed the data? Do your worst. We got lawyers too. And unlike your client, they've got all the time in the world to stall. Besides, you and I both know exactly what the Hound's motive was. And it isn't written on those pages. It's written all over his busted up face. Sure. But you won't mind if I copy down whatever I can anyway, right? I wouldn't have any legal reason to stop you, if that's what you're getting at. Okay, looks like everything's in here. Let me get this red ink tech. Red ink tech. Red ink is an information system security protocol whose name has become synonymous with ow, hit my hand on the table. Anti-dissemination technology in general. I was itching my leg and then While different organizations will make use of different technologies to achieve their data security goals, the original system's core principles are still widely taught and practiced in business administration courses around the globe. First developed in the mid-21st century amidst widespread concerns about hackers' newfound capabilities after the third netcode leak, Red Ink practices emphasize the vulnerability of digital systems and espouse the relative reliability of physical documents, printed or even handwritten information that cannot be changed or stolen except through in-person action. More broadly, Red Ink systems are designed to minimize the time that critical information spends changing hands. Critics of the teachings thus claim it is antithetical to cooperation between peers and leads to siloing of information. Red ink is also commonly used to refer to any kind of printed text material that incorporates anti-piracy measures. Common examples include anti-photocopier sheen gloss, paper that degrades outside of extremely narrow moisture conditions, cipher encrypted text based on extinct indigenous languages, and sleeper marks, printer machine codes left on the corners of documents that are invisible to the naked eye but are unique to individual printers. Just reminds me of like those back in the day, those toys that were like like little girl like diaries that like would only unlock with like a voice and a certain word or something. I was always very curious, and I'm still curious to the day just how sophisticated that tech is. Like, how good is the voice recognizing technology in those journals? Steal your sister's journals and get her, I don't know, her big secrets. You don't even know what that is? It was a thing, yeah. So it was like this. It was a toy. Just imagine like a journal, but it had like basically you could set like a password. Just think, but it was like years and years ago. Like now, like voice recognition technology is probably like really good. So like, oh, your phone is only gonna recognize your voice or whatever. But like, think about like how cheap toys were back in the day, and then like obviously it was like years and years ago too. So like, and it wasn't gonna be like a super expensive toy thing, but it was just a journal that had like a thing that you would input like an audio, like password or phrase. I think you would say a phrase maybe, and it was supposed to like recognize the person's voice, the girl's voice, so that like, you know, or her brother couldn't like break into her journal and get all her details or something. I just am like, again, I have no experience and I never looked it up or tried to see what it would test, and I obviously didn't have one or access to one. But I just imagine like the tech probably sucked so bad that it was probably like someone could just probably slightly replicate like your sister's voice. Maybe if you didn't know the password or the phrase, maybe then you're in trouble. But if you knew the word and then you just I don't know, if your sister had like a high pitched voice and you just try to like copy it, I wonder if it would work. Uh, I'm gonna buy one. I'm gonna buy one off eBay here, and I'll do it for research. I'll do it on stream, and I'll see if I can break into it. I'll have someone else set the word, and then I'll try to break in. Also, I'm sure those toys were just plastic. So if you really wanted to break in and read your sister's like diary, I assume you could do it. I assume you could find a way in. I'm sure you could slam that thing onto like a hard pavement or something and just bust right open. Or what that term reminds me of is like just like those like pens that would only show up like the ink under like dark light, or what is it called? UV light on like the secret paper. Something like that. Okay. Looks like that's everything in here. Well, I don't envy either of your workloads. It's a mess in here. It's a lot of blood, that's for sure. I'm impressed you haven't gotten nauseous, miss. I'd be right at home here if you weren't all poking your noses around. Shoot, I just remembered. I'll never hear the end of it if I don't check in with my partner after saying I would. You too good to keep going if I step out to make a call? A call? Is your partner your mom? And is your mom blind? Send a text. Thanks for your understanding. Maybe he was the one with the weak stomach. You be sure to let me know if you're feeling faint. I can keep going. We're nearly finished anyway. I'd stick to the arcs if I were you. Nothing behind that door that's better seen in person. You've been such a gracious host up until this point, Miss Han. Why the cold feet now? It's ugly in there. Uglier than this? Different kind of ugly then. It's all in the eye of the beholder. Take a look-see. I warned you. Don't worry, I can stomach it just fine. So long as I can understand it. Why did Creek's pod torture my client? I don't know what they did. Sosuke told me they electrocuted him, Han. They probably just grounded him. Low-grade currents applied every few minutes. Stops most mods from rebooting. So no SOS pings, no adrenaline bursts pulled out of his ass. And the pliers, hammers, and syringes. What purpose did they serve? They could have just killed Sosuke when they failed to nab Makoto. Instead, they dragged him down here. Why? To try and get into Makoto's itinerary? Get enough intel to make another run at him? If there are any answers from me in here, I'll need a grout scraper to find them. Ooh. Has all this blood been tested, Misson? Enough of it has. Besides Sosuke, who else would it belong to? It's a bit lazy, but it's not as if there's more here than the last time I visited. Sosuke really did lose a lot of blood. By the time he stumbled out of here, a stiff breeze should have been enough to knock him over. Is he really such a badass that he still managed to take out a police officer before he'd even noticed? It's not as if I feel nothing, looking at someone else's handiwork, product of their violence. But it's like an artificial sweetener. No complaints for that first instant. Then the aftertaste comes. Empty calories. Just be hungrier again later, faster. Best stay disciplined. Toilet. Oh. Pails. It's water. Cold enough that condensation's on the outside of the bucket. Is that water for sponge baths? Just a simple way to keep a guest from dozing off. Temperature shock makes caffeine look like a sleep aid. This coming after you claim you don't know if Sosuke was tortured? You know what that other bucket's for then? I know you said you got a weak sense of smell, but do you really need a hint here? Ah. But then this last bucket here is... What is that? Trash? Cloth and rope. Bindings. Or bandages. See? They were nursing him back to health. I'll run your theory past Sosuke next chance I get. This must be what's left of what they were keeping Sosuke tied up with. They would have had to use something, yeah? The store doesn't even lock. Not after I removed the bat barring it from the outside. So he was brought here, tied up, questioned. Then he breaks out, bursts into the next room, cuts two of his captors, and blows the other two away. That's what you think happened? That's what it looks like. And then what? Chopin runs in and turns his back on a violent criminal. Don't strain yourself trying to make it sound improbable. Cops are dumb. If the Hound crouched in a corner, he'd have his chance soon enough. Hell, probably just play dead. Walking in that scene out there, you think some patrol officer would go around checking pulses? Why would my client go to all the trouble to get the jump on an officer? Why not just run away? Hell, why not ask him for medical treatment? Because he was standing in the middle of the four men he just killed? Ugh. I know that Sosuke had no logical reason to attack Chopin, but so what? Even Sosuke himself says he would have been acting on instinct. Would instinct tell him that Chopin was in between him and his escape? Oh. Hypodermic needles. Probably not packing anything healthy. Sosuke better hope they were at least sanitized. I'm not sure Sarah can treat an infection with gauze and rubbing alcohol alone. But those needles there... The design of these needles seems a little odd. Well, someone will tell you sooner or later, so... They're projectiles. Load them into a gun and fire away. Sosuke was captured by men wielding needle guns. Does Sinus Security have any peacekeeping tools they'd like to disclose as having recently gone missing? You're cursing up the wrong pipe. Creek could find tools all on his own. We're not that kind of operation. An operation where the right hand doesn't know what the left is doing? More like the right hand's just been more like the right hand's just been washed. So if you have to handle some garbage, Sinus, is that legitimate? Why aren't all the Bloodborns working legal jobs then? Not enough positions available. You gotta earn like hell to be considered for a job on this side of the fence. Creek and his pod weren't bringing in that kind of money. They liked Creek's pod where it was. Who's they? Upper management? That mask is a death sentence, crafted specifically for one very special customer. I'm just the one given the honor of hanging on to it until... Flashback. And did upper management like Creek? I'm just a humble site manager, miss. I wouldn't know. Sure. So do all these needles contain anesthetics? Nope. There's also stimulants and barbitocene. Needles. Projectile needles. Cut bindings. Originally developed as a hypnotic sleep aid drug for active duty military personnel, barbitocene is currently prescribed though rarely as an anti-anxiety and anti-seizure medication. Often depicted in popular culture and some drug manufacturers' promotional materials as a truth serum, barbitocene has never been shown to function as such in a controlled setting. When compared against a sampling of liquors ranging from 40 to 80 proof, barbitocene resulted in truthful confessions only 0.2% more often, and no subjects admitted to providing information that they were not already comfortable with divulging. Also frequently searched how to tell if someone's cheating, where to buy lie detectors, see who has me muted on social media. Word to the wise, you do not need to know who has you muted on social media. No one should have access to that information, and you should not be looking for it. Resist. You must resist. Like the truth serum? You can get sued for selling it as such. Makes you talk. Doesn't make what you say the truth. So they wanted Sosuke talking, but what did they ask him? If your client can't remember or isn't willing to recall, there's really no one else alive who would know, yeah? Good point, good point. I'm getting a headache, but it's not from anything sensory. I should know more about this crime scene than anyone. Why can't I piece it together? If I can't piece it together, the cops will never trace any of this back to me, right? So why do I feel so ill at ease? Okay, thanks for your patience, ladies. Did I miss anything? Nah. Oh. Would you have felt better if you had? I'm going to head out now, actually. I've got a long day tomorrow. You're going back by yourself then? Are you sure? I could get you a ride out of the neighborhood. I'm sure Miss Han here has already made sure that we'll both get out of here without any trouble. That is her company's area of expertise, isn't it? Of course. Well, at least let me walk you out. Sure, why not? Safe travels. Drip. Drip noise. So, Detective, there's something you didn't want to talk about in front of the professionals at Sinus Security? Thanks for picking up on that. Raiders will be upset that you never checked in. Yeah, right after this, I will. This room, are we directly underneath the crime scene? Yep. Same fire escape right there. Same type of window, too. Has this room been scanned into the arcs? Yeah, but no one found anything noteworthy. Except Sinus being sloppy. So what were you actually doing when you left Han and I back there? Something Han said earlier about how no true blood would wish harm on Creek. Her phrasing stood out to me. Because it implies the existence of false blue bloods? Because it reminded me of one of the first things I learned in the city. There are no monoliths. Megs, Orcas, City Hall. There's always factions. And among the blue bloods, the party lines are especially visible. So I made a call, not to Reyes, and confirmed some things. And I figure I owe you a little hint or two, considering the tone of the last message I delivered. That message warned me not to broaden the scope of my investigation. Getting hints from you might be self-defeating. Not these hints, trust me. So what faction did our pal Creek belong to? The Youngbloods, opposite end of the compass from the Old Guard, the conservative blue blood leadership. All of them older than 70, some of them pushing higher than 90. Han said Creek was too useful for anyone to want dead, but my sources don't agree. Creek talked, said things aloud that others only whispered. Ambitious, charismatic, up and coming, and young. Could easily see him being very unpopular with all the wrong people in the Old Guard. That's interesting info, Detective, but doesn't really exactly flip this case on its head. I already know who killed Creek. The police have already decided, Sosuke. Learning that he had some occupational hazards will hardly convince the jury otherwise. My client's the one standing accused, and everyone already knows why Blue Bloods and Icarias would want to kill each other. Do you? They're rival gangs. They hate each other. Do you know why? It's the same reason all the Blue Blood leadership is ancient, while their muscle is made up of orphans and delinquents. 30 years ago, Ikaria betrayed their peace with the Blue Bloods, started killing them. And they didn't stop for days. By the end of it, every single member of the leading Blue Blood families under the age of 40 was dead. Well, I can see how their kids would grow up to hate the Ikaria, yeah? You're not getting it, Tiger. Their kids didn't grow up at all. If that's the case, how are the Blue Bloods still around? For one thing, Ikari had bigger fish to fry. This was right before the Red Decade. They spent every second of the next 10 years positioning themselves so they could come out the other end as Neo-ability. Second, what remained of the Blue Bloods found a new niche to fill. Taken in delinquents furious at a country driven off a cliff by adults before they could even get a chance to vote. Blue Bloods swelled their ranks to new heights by looking out for the little guys during those years, in exchange for favors down the line. Lastly, and most importantly, they survived because they still had hope. Are you serious? I am. It's a powerful weapon. Hope for what? Hope that the Ikari had missed one, but they'd fled the country. Hope that a promised heir would grow strong and return one day, triumphant little lord with overflowing riches and overwhelming power. Sounds like a fairy tale. Those endure for a reason. Well, now you know. A warning to watch where you step isn't exactly worth much if you're fumbling around in the dark. Fairy tales and warnings. What's up? Hey, did you or your pals in OC ever hear about some kind of blue blood hunter? Like a bounty hunter? Or huntsman, maybe? Where'd you hear that? Sosuke thinks he might have overheard talk of something like that while he was in captivity. Does it mean anything? Nope. I don't like the hesitation there, detective. Just an urban legend. I would have said the same thing about unlisted before this afternoon, and yet... Fair enough. If you see a huntsman and live to tell the tale, I'll buy you as many lotto tickets as you want. Hey, you ever pay attention to any of this graffiti down here? Scrawlings about Lobo and the cyberpunk and HBK, increasingly. I haven't seen that myself. It's gonna say Red Hood. Why are you asking? Feel a chill down your spine? Bah, except for HBK, that's old news. Ghost stories and campfire tales. There are a lot of campsites around here. Lots of places start fires. But Red Hood, haven't heard that in who knows how long. It's one of the oldest. Rough story. It's based on a real event. Nothing worth recounting. I'll take your word for it. But what's gotten into you that you're feeling all superstitious? Guilty conscious? You mean about working with the mafia? A psychologist would call that projecting. Ouch. Too far? Nah. Didn't feel a thing. I don't know why I asked, really. Guess I've just had an odd feeling all day. Like, deja vu? You been here before? No. Hate that feeling. It's whatever the opposite of that would be. The unnerving certainty that you're in uncharted waters. Scary stuff. 8:32 p.m. August 14th, 2026. Actually, we'll call it there. Because I said I could go to, at max, like 3 hours. But I don't want to get into, if we have such a nice breaking point, as we say. Save there. Okay, cool. Lots of reading. Damn. It's like a double-edged sword. If I read a visual novel that has voiced and I let the voice play, then I get like short breaks in between everything the reading moments. If I read a visual novel that is not voiced on this channel, then I feel as if I'm just reading at a mile a minute and I'm just like, and then my mouth and throat are just dry within like 10 minutes constantly. But it's a lot quicker. The pace is better. It's faster. All right, what is it? Today's Wednesday night, so no stream tomorrow. But we'll be back Friday. You lose some, you also lose others. So true. Such a good way of putting it. It's not you lose some, you win some. You lose some another way. You lose some one way, you lose some the other way. Oh man, it's already Wednesday, thank God. I'm gonna have a busy day tomorrow at work. I've got multiple things and meetings going on, not looking forward to that. But no stream tomorrow. I'll be watching, I think, a pretty shitty movie tomorrow night. Can't wait. Love watching shitty movies, with some friends. And then we should be back Friday. Most likely, as of now, we're looking at probably Titanium Court. Chance of finale on Friday night, but if not, I'm thinking we're setting ourselves up for finale sometime this weekend in that. But if we start early enough, there's a chance. There's a chance we just push it into end. We'll see. And then we'll do weekend streams as normal. Excuse me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening about my traumatic story during production classes at university, and also all the reading in Of the Devil, which I'm still quite enjoying. I know I keep saying it like every stream. I'm just very much enjoying. I enjoy the writing and the characters and the characterization. I think is like top notch in this game. The actual trial little mini games and stuff. You can take it or leave it. They're fine. They're serviceable. It's kind of like how I feel even in, like, I guess you'd say, like, Phoenix Wright or Danganronpa, right? Two different, like, spectrums of what the actual puzzle or gamified part is. But, I have my frustrations with those as well, so. I'm just hoping I don't die in the trial like I did in episode 1. and have to replay a stretch. If I do, it's not going to be anything as bad as we now know to save for safety. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Until Friday night, have a good one. Finish the week strong. Until then.